Hello there, everybody. My name is Travis, and welcome to episode 6 of the Absent Minded podcast. We finally did it. We said when we got to episode 6, we would close it out, go out on a high note.
Yeah, I think episodes, 6 episodes, it's a strong,
It's tight. That's a tight.
Exactly.
It's very British. It's a UK series.
Why go past that? Yeah.
Ethan seems confused. Alongside
I've
me,
seen
they
the
have
British
Ethan.
Office. I'm not confused.
How many episodes is the British Office? What is it, like 6, 10?
I know. I think it's like 2 seasons.
It's short. No, they only did one.
They only did one?
They only did one.
Okay.
Maybe they released it as like a 2 collection, but yeah, it was 1 season.
Okay.
So that was Ethan Newbolt with the Office talk. And we also have here Andrew Crandell.
Hey, everybody.
And we've had an aggravating week in games, I
Kind of
would
a
say.
slow week.
Oh, the news is slow. There's some goodies in here. I don't mind that so much, but fucking
say there
Apex
was
Season 2, man.
Some gems. Just
My
a slow
worries
week.
came to pass. I asked you guys, I think, when we were still talking about Season 2 dropping, if they had maybe fixed some of the networking issues or patched up some of that stuff, if it was running any smoother, and I would say without a doubt they have not. If anything, it's more frustrating than I ever remember it being when we were playing
That's
before
pretty bad.
Season 1.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna
Well,
sugarcoat it.
I just think like the matchmaking is really bad. As for
We were all three of us disconnecting from the servers every 3 games.
Even
or
me and
so.
you
Yeah.
playing just by me and you.
Yeah, we tried
Yeah.
different combinations. Yeah,
it was even worse for Ethan and I think before we were playing, it was like we get in a game, play through it, try to load into another game, disconnect, and then the next game we'd get in. But then that game would finish, but the game after that, it would disconnect. It was like every other time.
It's like we couldn't get at least 3 or 5 games in a row before
something shits out.
Something
Yeah,
happened.
Someone doesn't load in. Someone says, "Hey, when are you guys going to ready up?" And we're like, "Oh, we're loading into the game already." Like,
Right.
No.
very aggravating.
Yeah. Well, there was that one time too. I think me and you were playing, and it wouldn't even let me hit ready up.
I wanted to play at least another 2 matches today with Ethan before we left to come up here, and
just kind of.
it just started shitting itself out. Like 2 times in a row, we tried to load into a match. He would load in, or I would load in. The other one would get stuck in the lobby, and I was like, "Fuck it, never mind. I'm just gonna get."
Yeah, I
ready
loaded in
Right.
twice into a game without him because when I came back, it said I was in a party with him and he was ready. I readied up, and then no trap. So I don't know.
Have you guys experienced any like lagging in game or like rubber banding at all? Because I feel like
No,
every
more than
once
I
in a while, I'll come across a game where I'm just like kind of chugging. I think a game dropped out on us once.
Yeah, but like I said, no more than before at the end of season 1. Really,
See, I didn't really notice it.
But
Well, I also wasn't really playing a whole lot of season 1. This now I actually invested in season 2.
At the end, I was, yeah, but the connection is definitely the issue this time, and it's when I'm solo, it's not as bad, and I understand why, but when it's this bad with you guys, it's a problem.
It needs to be addressed.
Yeah,
It's like they're doing everything they can possibly do to make me not want to play this and put more time into 14.
I can't play.
Let me play your game.
That's the problem.
Just let me play your game.
I want to
Yeah,
play.
I think all I want to do is just play your game. Just like fix it, please.
A little bit of housekeeping today. We have reached out to Anchor, and they have told us that there was an issue on the back end, and that's why Apple Podcasts was not loading up. So hopefully they fix that. Something about RSS links and subscriptions and all sorts of stuff. I don't know what is going on, but hopefully we're on Apple Podcasts pretty soon.
They're working on it.
I see in the back end that most of y'all are using Spotify, which we appreciate. We like to see
It's a big platform.
a lot of people on there.
Yeah,
But if you've been holding out, hoping that Apple Podcast loads up, that should happen fairly shortly. I'm hoping by the time you hear episode 6, hopefully we will be on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
We already popped up on another server that supposedly was getting hit with the same issue. Pocket Casts were on there now as well.
I have a question about the drop time. Is it 10 o'clock? Because I checked again last Friday, and I don't believe it dropped at 10 o'clock.
10 a.m.
Unless
is
I
when
was mistaken.
It does drop then. It does depend though, because I've noticed sometimes there's an issue with like I'll pull it up on my phone and it won't show it, and then a few seconds later it refreshes.
Right.
It's like on the back. It so if you restart the app, sometimes it pops right up because the way they use it is it's all using this like back end. Like these aren't uploaded directly to Spotify or some other thing like that. They're reading a feed that Anchor provides. And then they sometimes they ping that feed. So it's supposed to go live at 10 a.m. I know for sure it always goes live at 10 a.m. on the dot on YouTube because I do pre-process all that.
Okay.
So that's ready to go.
I do always have that YouTube video when I get home from work.
Yeah. So maybe I'll think about maybe I'll push it to 8 a.m. just so that by 10 o'clock it's officially live because I don't know what the interval that all these services are refreshing, but So we're still figuring out some of that stuff, but hopefully, like I said, Apple Podcasts is the next big one, and hopefully the last big one we're hoping to get published on. As far as other episodes, we have 3 mini episodes that I hope to put up within the next 2 weeks. Going to spread those out a little bit. It's our episode 0, really, that we did. Our very first, well, more like our very second test recording was about an hour and a half, 2 hour long episode about each of our individual gaming histories. It was actually Drew's first big idea for a topic. It's something he'd been wanting to get together with everybody and talk about for a while. And
I forgot so much listening back to those.
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, when you're, it's almost like that's what we should have done research for. I just pulled up random games and years of gaming and stuff, and be like, oh yeah, I forgot about this one, forgot about that one.
Right.
That'll be a fun one. I'm going to break it out for each one of us to have our own episode. So I think if I recall correctly, it's about 25 minutes each for Andrew and Ethan's episode, and then mine was a little bit longer, but also that has the tail end of the episode as well, where we get caught up and then do our normal thing where we just start yapping about whatever the hell we were talking about then. So that'll be up very shortly. Those will not take over for your regular episode that will still come out every Friday. These I'll probably try to put up like on a Tuesday or a Thursday, just little smaller episodes, little specials, help you get to know us a little better.
Tuesday, I think, would be good.
Tuesday does sound good, but then it makes it 3 weeks. Almost want out a little quicker. I don't know.
We'll talk about
You
it.
guys let me
There's
know.
really no time
Drop
frame
a
for
comment on
these.
Instagram. I'll post a pretty picture.
They're not
of
banging
Andrew's
down our
face.
doors for extra content at this moment, so
Oh, absolutely.
we've got plenty of time
no,
to release these.
We got so much people asking for content we can't keep up. That's
The DMs are just filled.
And speaking of, one final thing, we will be enabling listener contributions on Anchor.fm probably tonight.
Oh, that's
so
right, you brought- yeah.
if you feel like buying Andrew a coffee or Ethan some chicken nuggets or anything like that, you can go to Anchor.fm. There will be a little button.
If you want to buy Travis a shirt,
Yeah, I could use a shirt. I like
He's been
shirts.
wearing the same shirt for 6
It's so
episodes.
comfy. And every once in a while, I wear my little button up.
It's
my 3
starting
buttons.
to smell.
Oh, no, I
Aw,
washed it today.
jeez.
Oh, God.
Come on. I don't
Ooh,
know.
yeah, it's a little.
Is that what that is?
You're a little right, buddy.
I thought it was the trash cans outside that smelled so bad.
You mean inside?
Dirty apartment, Andrew. Clean your shit up.
Sorry.
Hey, if you donate, Andrew can buy some Lysol and like a Swiffer
I
or
thought
something.
you were going to say buy a maid, and I was like, I'm not letting Andrew waste money on a maid when
Hurry, you can get it made. It's his money.
we need other things.
Look,
But
like-
yeah, also that will help cover some of the expenses on our
Blackjack.
microphones, our mixer, all sorts of things that Drew was so good about. Go ahead and covering all that. So if you do like the show,
I
if
did
you've
it for
gotten a
you
couple
guys.
giggles, that button will be live soon. You can chuck us $1, something like that. We would really appreciate it.
every dollar helps.
If you're a new listener, again, this is the Absent Minded Podcast. Each week on Friday, we get together, just 3 dudes who like talking about video games
Friday we
and
get together?
Spider-Man and Jimmy John's. Well, you hear us get together on Friday.
Right.
We get together on Monday, but you hear us on Friday morning.
That's one way to say
The
it.
most popular day for podcasts, I was told. So that's why we
I
publish
did not
on
know
day.
that. That was new information to me. Podcast Friday. I did not know that was a.
But
Makes
thing.
sense. A lot of
if you
them
like
I
the
follow
show
drop
and you
on
want to keep
Friday.
in touch with us, you can follow us at Absent Minded Pod on Twitter and Instagram, or you can go to facebook.com/absentminded. And you can also follow us all individually. I am at Ray Charlazard on Twitter and Instagram. Andrew is at Andrew Loves Video Games. And Ethan is at SoulsBjorn, also on Instagram and Twitter.
Please follow that absent-minded Twitter. Please.
Yeah, we got a lot going on over there. Ethan's filling up the page with the best tweets you've ever and will ever see, but you can't see it if you don't follow the podcast page.
I'm going to tweet a picture of my shirt, my dabbing unicorn shirt today.
Yeah, you're going to want to see the dabbing unicorn.
It's
a
actually
great
pretty
sh-
sweet.
It's a great
You're
shirt.
going to want to see the surprised Pikachu memes.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to want to see the high resolution artwork that we use for each of our episodes. You're going to want to see all
That
these
is actually a
things.
treat. I do enjoy that.
I know 3,000 by 3,000 pixels. That's HD as fuck.
I don't know what that is, but that's a lot of pictures.
That's a lot of
That's- yeah.
pixels. Can you even do 3,000 times 3,000 in your head? Can you? What's the number?
I can. It's 9,000.
No, that's wrong.
What did you say?
Good job, Ethan.
What did you say?
3,000 by 3,000
By 3,000? What does that mean?
times. It's another way to say
Isn't
multiplied.
3 times 3 9?
It is.
So
So why is it not 9,000?
Yeah, I don't know.
You'll have to go talk to your 5th grade math teacher and they'll be able to explain it to you. I think now we can go on ahead and get into some corrections for this week. One of which was not our fault.
Yes.
I want to specify that up front.
The other one was completely my fault.
that accidental just switcheroo bait and switch.
Now, here at the Absent Minded Podcast, I want everyone to know that we're trustworthy, that we're a source that you can get your news a week late from and really appreciate. What was the number? What'd you get?
9 million.
There you go. There you go. You add the zeros together. That's what you get. You 3 zeros plus 3 zeros is 6 zeros.
We
That's
all know that
multiplication.
Ethan's not great at math, but you know what he can
If
do?
you didn't, then you do now.
You know what he can do? I can build a fucking grill
Yeah, he can.
True.
and I can put together a cookout.
Yep, we did have the Absent Minded Cookout last week for 4th of July.
The first annual absent-minded barbecue 4th
And-
of July bash.
Everything
Extravaganza.
went off without a
Extravaganza.
hitch. Ethan only burned one appendage.
Doesn't even hurt anymore.
Right.
We only
I
tossed
forgot he
one
burned
piece of
himself.
meat in the trash.
Which could have been saved.
No.
Yes,
the-
it could have
it
been
was-
cooked.
And
It
the
was
fajitas
pretty-
came
it could
out
have been
perfectly.
thrown back on the grill and finished.
Could have just tossed it in the microwave. Get that last
Or
little
that.
cook in there.
or
30 seconds,
Yeah,
that would have
that's
turned
honestly,
that pink to brown.
Yeah,
No.
that's honestly true.
I mean,
But it's okay. Lessons learned.
R.I.P. Ethan's first attempt.
Lessons learned.
So anyway, our correction for the week, the first one, your PlayStation Plus games have changed.
Oh.
Sony last minute changed Pro Evolution Soccer 2019, which was your original game for PlayStation Plus.
I was excited for.
Yeah, Drew was happy for it. No one else was. They instead switched it out for Detroit Become Human Digital Deluxe Edition. Detroit Become Human is a very good game. The newest and latest title from Quantic Dream, a French studio that has historically worked quite closely with Sony. And
Are they French? Oh.
Yep. And you're also getting the digital deluxe edition of this game, which that rarely happens, but that includes a digital art book that you get, a digital mini soundtrack, as well as Heavy Rain, which is the first PlayStation 3 game that they released, and you'll be getting the PS4 remaster of that game as well with Detroit. So now you're technically getting 3 games.
Is
this
it in
month.
HDR?
No, that one, it's just a straight 1080p
Okay.
remaster. It came out before the PS4 Pro did.
Right.
Detroit Become Human, of course, does have 4K checkerboard rendering
Those are
and
both-
high dynamic range.
Both David
so-
Cage games, right?
Yes.
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 The
Did,
masterful
did
mind of
Detroit,
David Cage.
does it not have any DLC?
No, not yet. Actually, probably won't be getting any. I think we would have heard something by now if they were doing that.
Yeah, for sure.
In the past, they really haven't flirted too much with DLC. I think Heavy Rain had one small extra chapter, like if you pre-ordered or something, but
Right.
even then it was not anything
Substantial.
super big. Yeah.
I feel like only certain endings in the game could even allow DLC.
True. Yeah. Yeah. Depending.
I bet you they probably would have just, if they ever did, they probably just would have added more storylines.
Maybe you could put on a wacky costume.
Like just
funny
individual storylines, ones that aren't
Yeah.
all intertwined in somehow.
Yep. So new PlayStation Plus game for you. Our second correction, in case anyone was listening to last week,
This is so embarrassing.
and these guys talking about Def Jam Fight for New York, these two goofballs thought Def Jam Records had closed down, that they were no longer around, probably forgetting that I think, is it Jay-Z, like the owner of Def Jam or
Don't
something?
really even
I
remember
don't
what I
know.
said, but
But
assuming,
yeah,
I'm
that-
hoping to move past this as quick as possible.
assuming that was closed down is probably what I said. I'm just gonna
Def Jam Records does still indeed exist. They are the
Justin
home of
Bieber.
artists like Justin Bieber, Logic, Big Sean, Kanye West, Nas, 2 Chainz, and many other artists.
I love a lot of those guys.
Yeah. Yeah, so Def Jam still exists. I guess go buy a song on
Ethan and I
iTunes.
are dumb as fuck. Let's go on to the news.
All right, on to the news.
Hey, don't bring me in, lump me in with you, buddy.
I'm not even gonna go into that. Let's.
Yeah, you're not. Exactly.
So first bit of news is really more of a deal, a discount for you deal hunters out there. PlayStation Classic is all the way down to $24.99 at select retailers. And when I say select, it appears to be just about anyone that has or ever has sold a PlayStation Classic. You can get this thing for $25 now at Best Buy, Walmart, Amazon. If you don't know what the PlayStation Classic is, you remember that NES Classic or SNES Classic that everybody wanted a couple years ago?
Yeah.
It's that, but a little baby PlayStation.
It's just that.
And it's super cute. You should go pick one up. $25 is a steal. I'm
Grab
not buying one
two.
yet because I'm holding out for $19.99.
I don't know,
if
man.
it drops
Like-
to $20, I'm getting it.
The only thing that's keeping me from buying that is they just went with the god awful original controller. I know it's supposed to be, the PlayStation Classic, but that fucking D-pad is terrible. They should have included
Ethan's
included
freaking
the
out.
analog
What-
stick.
I
one.
want to just to clarify that when Drew says the original PlayStation 1 controller, the original DualShock was in fact not a DualShock. It was just called the PlayStation Gamepad because it didn't have vibration in it and it did not have the 2 analog sticks.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The very first play. Well, that controller sucked.
Yeah, it sucks ass, and
You
that's the
can't
only
play
one.
most of the PlayStation 1 library without analog sticks.
That's the controller that she got.
Unless you bought it later and got a DualShock.
And I remember it because you had to enable the DualShock with the little button.
But what I'm getting
And then
at,
turn
Yeah,
it
you
on.
had to push the analog button. Yeah, exactly.
No, I remember. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is the PlayStation Classic one only has like the original controller. It doesn't have the analog stick one.
Yep.
And that sucks.
I understand.
I would totally buy
it's
that.
the-
You can't play Ape Escape with it. Can barely play Metal Gear Solid.
That's why it's called PlayStation Classic. It's a classic controller.
Yeah, but it sucks. Like why? Like I think
That's
they
why
totally.
they made the PlayStation 2.
I think they totally lost out on the.
No, the PlayStation 1 also got a DualShock controller.
I mean, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. But that's also why they made the PlayStation 2
controller.
But that's why they made a better controller. Because
but why didn't they include it with the Classic? Like I think I would have bought it if it had that controller.
I don't know. Why didn't they put Tekken 2 on it instead of Tekken 1?
True.
This is why the thing's only $25 now.
Probably because they'll come
Instead
out
of
with
the
a
100 or whatever they
PlayStation
were asking
Classic
for it
2.
originally.
Yeah, I think it was 100.
So they can make more money off of it.
True.
That's
No,
just Sony for I don't know.
doubt that Sony's going to try to make another classic console now.
No, yeah, that thing bombed.
This thing
so
bombed
hard.
real bad.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, judging by the price, yeah, I could say so.
I don't want to deter people from getting this awesome deal. I think it's a cool thing.
$25 is a great deal.
That's
That's
a great
true,
price.
No
yes.
matter what you're buying.
Yeah, and
Unless it's
for the more tech savvy out
styrofoam.
there, you can fix Drew's exact problem if you do a little bit of hacking on it. You know, I like my hacks.
Yep.
It's very easy to load up a program and like follow a little YouTube tutorial and set this thing up so that you can use like a PlayStation 4 controller on it if you wanted to. Like you can
Really?
just plug it into the USB.
I was about to say there's no
Sure.
USB like
There's USB ports on the thing because that's the other thing is the PlayStation controller that comes with it. They're USB gamepads, so they aren't the old fatter controllers.
But I can't hook up the new DualShock to it.
Not an actual one. No, you would have to use this
Third party or something.
Yeah, you would have to jailbreak the thing basically, and then yeah,
No.
and then you could install. It's very easy. You plug it into a computer through the included USB cable,
Mhm.
and you can also load up other games on it. Yeah,
Yep.
if you're the more savvy out there, or even just I think you could get this working if you really wanted
Oh,
to.
probably, yeah.
Yeah, so that's how simple it is, people. Next up, Batman Arkham Collection has been leaked by Amazon.
Yeah, I heard about this. It comes with what? Arkham Knight, Arkham Origins, and Arkham City.
It does not come with Arkham Origins. It
Oh,
comes
that's
with Arkham
right.
Asylum.
That's right, Arkham Asylum.
And Arkham City and Arkham Knight. This is basically just a physical version of the like digital bundle that they've been doing for a few years
long
now.
time now.
It's actually just cheaper to go out and buy the Return to Arkham collection and a cheap copy of Arkham Knight than it is to buy this.
yeah.
If you really want a cool looking steelbook, or if you've never played these games before and really like throwing extra money away when you don't have
Like
to,
a Batman collectible.
this is the
person.
collection for you.
Yeah.
I guess fund Rocksteady a little more while they're waiting on whatever the fuck game they're working on right now. This was a little weird. I don't know how many times they're going to try to milk these damn games before they just give us the next fucking
Right.
game. We got Spider-Man on PS4, the awesome game that I hope everybody has been playing. And
My
if you
favorite
haven't,
game last year.
go buy it. It's a good goddamn
It's
game.
amazing.
Go replay
Yeah.
it with the new skins.
Yep, you got two new
do
skins
another-
now.
2 new playthroughs.
From Spider-Man Far From Home, you got the new spider suit that he uses. The colored one, it's just
It's
a new
the
design, like the black
upgraded
and
suit, I
blue
think it's
one.
called.
the red and black.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
The glider suit.
Yeah, he's got the little glider. on it, yeah,
But his homecoming suit had gliders on it too, I think.
it might have. I think. I
Yeah.
think you might be right.
Remember?
I don't
But it
remember.
wasn't. It didn't look as cool. The black and red is really nice.
I like this new
Yeah.
one, and it's also got. It's cool because the white spider emblem on the back of the suit reminds me of the spider emblem that's on the front in
Ultimately, the Spider-Man PS4.
in that game, his
Right.
default suit, and then you also get the little black and white, almost
stealth
noir-ish.
suit,
Yeah.
yeah.
the stealth suit.
The night monkey suit.
Yeah, that was a
Night
free
monkey
update.
suit.
So if you have that game, haven't finished it, or you're still playing it every once in a while, I like to boot it up and just swing around New York.
Yeah, I've been
great.
meaning to do that because I saw this came out and
Yeah,
I just hadn't done that. I should have done that like after I saw the movie yesterday.
Should have. Yeah.
Yep, that update is free if you check for updates, or it'd probably even download it automatically.
You just got to
So
download the latest
Probably,
patch.
yeah.
always cool to have new costumes. I do want to take a moment to bring up, I don't know if you guys have seen this. They did a small little behind the scenes video a few months ago, just showing like how difficult it is to add in a new suit in the Spider-Man PS4.
Really?
Just because of how much detail work they do on it. And
Yeah.
they have to rig the animations just slightly different and make sure that the fabric moves like the way you would expect it to. Even like little details, like I'm sure you've seen in the loading screens and stuff, like the grooves underneath his shoes and
Yeah.
stuff are different
Yeah.
for
They
each
zoom
one.
in on
Uh-huh.
those slightly, and it's
Yeah, just
I can only imagine
huge
how hard it
level of
was for the Ghost Spider outfit, the one where his head's
Yeah.
on fire.
So a lot of tiny details. That's actually, if you're super nerdy like me, that's one of the things that's really exciting about this kind of thing is you get to zoom in and see all those little details that you wouldn't catch when you're watching that movie on the big screen. Cuphead. Everybody remembers Cuphead, right?
It's a game I have always wanted to play, but I have not picked it up yet.
It's on Game Pass, I think.
Yeah, it is on Games Pass.
Yeah. Ethan, did you play Cuphead?
I don't.
You don't even know what Cuphead is.
No, of course I know what Cuphead is.
Oh,
It's,
okay.
it's a Dark Souls of shooter line.
Yeah, the
jumper
Dark
thing,
Souls of
whatever.
platformers.
But yeah, like no, there was no way for me to play Cuphead in the beginning because it was PC, and then I think it went.
No, I think it was Xbox only, and then it was PC.
Was it Xbox only? Sorry, I don't know. Anyway, wherever it started, I didn't have the platform for it and couldn't play it, and still can't, if I'm not mistaken.
No,
I bet
we
Cuphead runs on Caitlin's laptop.
Oh well, sure.
It's
but
not a
that's-
super
that's not one-
intensive
That's
game.
just not something I would.
we
be
should play that
comfortable-
together because I
Gotcha.
can get it on
That'd
Games
be great.
Pass.
Yeah, that'd be an awesome playthrough. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I wanted to because it looks the fucking animation and the art style is.
I'm excited
yeah,
for the
top
music,
notch.
man.
The music's great too.
It's
I forgot about the
beautiful.
music.
If you don't know what Cuphead is, it is a platformer like of old.
It's a side-scrolling shooter.
Yeah, side scrolling.
With like a 1930s.
Well, there's some platforming involved as well.
There's a lot of platforming.
Think of it
actually,
like
almost
Con-
bullet hell as far as how many enemies are coming at you.
I was going to say
on
kind of
screen.
Contra-ish.
Yeah, that's actually a
yeah.
good callback. But the animation and the art design is taken straight out of like an old 1930s cartoon.
Disney,
Yeah.
Like,
Disney cartoons.
Everything looks hand drawn. It's
Everything is hand-drawn.
immaculately
Steamboat
detailed.
Mickey, yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, like very like Steamboat Mickey for sure.
It's a gorgeous
Steamboat
game.
Willie? Is that what it was?
Oh yeah, Steamboat Willie, I think is what it was. Yeah.
You can get that game. I believe it's out now on Switch. I think that
It
port
is
is
on
finally
Switch as
out.
well. Yeah.
It's on
It's been on Switch
Xbox
for a minute.
One. It's
Yeah.
on PC. Could even come to PS4 one day because Microsoft does not seem shy about releasing these things on platforms that are not their own.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason we brought this up is they are finally getting a DLC pack for this. They've been rumored it's coming for a while. The DLC is called The Delicious Last Course. It was supposed to be coming out this year originally. Now it's delayed till spring of 2020.
Fine.
Yeah, that makes sense. The
Take
game
your
itself took a
Yeah,
while.
exactly.
When you see how detailed this game is and everything, it's one of them where it's like, dude, who cares? Like, when this comes out, it's going to be phenomenal.
The fans don't want anything less than what they originally got with
Yeah,
the
exactly.
first Cuphead.
Exactly.
They want that perfection.
Yeah, they don't want to like boot up the game and like I think the new DLC is gonna add a new character. You know, they don't want to play that new character and have it be all buggy or anything like
And just
that.
just to kind of dial back a little bit, this was one of those games that was kind of like Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight really didn't come to the PlayStation 4 for a little while after its kind of peak, interest. And that was one of the things where it took a long time for it to come to PS4. And I wanted to play it, never did, and now it's getting a sequel. And I feel like when Cuphead, after this DLC and it even gets a sequel announced, probably, which I'm sure it will. This game is, everybody loves this game.
Yeah.
I think that's one, maybe it'll eventually come to PS4. I hope it really does.
Next up, we got Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Its final DLC episode has a release date, and I'm extremely excited about this. I believe it's coming out July 16th. That'll be the 6th piece of DLC content that it's gotten from its season pass. There's no word right now if there's going to be anything further, but this is the final episode of their whole Atlantis DLC.
yeah, I remember your
Judgment of Atlantis.
What was the name of the full
The full
thing?
thing.
It's like Trials of Atlantis or
Let's see.
something like that, but I'm very excited for this. to
Fate
become-
of Atlantis.
Fate of Atlantis.
Yes,
That's
yes,
right.
yes.
Thank
And the
you.
other ones being Fields of Elysium and Torment of Hades.
All of these DLCs have been awesome so far. I've been holding off on starting this 3-episode thing
Yeah,
till
'cause you
this
wanted to
third
play them
one
in
came
full.
out. Yeah, because I started right away with the first episodes that came out for the previous DLC expansion.
Is that Legacy of the First Blade?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that one I played episodes 1 and 2, like binge through it in a day just because I loved Origins and Odyssey,
Yeah.
and was
You're a big
kicking
Assassin's
myself
Creed
that I
guy.
didn't just wait till episode 3 came out. So this one I wanted to wait till I had all 3 of them built up.
That's kind of how I wish that I did with the Spider-Man DLC.
Yeah, it was a lot more fun just waiting until all of them came.
Right.
For sure. And this is another game too that now I think, because when I bought Odyssey, I waited a little while and got the gold edition, which is the base game plus this season pass, which includes all these Atlantis episodes and everything, for like $30. It's
Shit.
probably even cheaper now.
That's a deal.
The base game is already like 80 to 100 hours
Yeah, it's
if you like
ridiculous.
do everything.
Uh-huh.
And then each of these DLC packs have been about another 15 to 20 hours. So
Jesus.
if you're a penny pension gamer and you like
Shit to do.
yeah, like, or even like Greek mythology and all that
pennies.
stuff, It's a great game. You get a ton of content here now. Yeah, I'm almost kind of excited to see if they announce another series, because we know we're not getting another Assassin's Creed game this year. I wouldn't be surprised if they did another pack of episodes. But yeah, so July 16th is when you'll be able to see that. You get that as a download of part of your season pass if you already haven't owned that. I wasn't going to put this in the news, but it seemed like something Ethan wanted to talk about a little bit. We've all got some thoughts. Gamer girl Belle Delphine
I accidentally scrolled too far down.
is selling her used bathwater.
Sold her used bath. She's sold
Yeah,
out.
she's out of
She's
it now.
sold out, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken. Yeah,
Clearly, this entrepreneur knew exactly what her audience wanted and made a mint.
It's the label, man. Have you seen the label?
I saw that it has
label's
like
been
an
on the
Xbox
internet today.
controller.
The label's
It's
not
all
bad.
over the fucking
The
internet.
and,
label's
like,
not bad.
Diva from Overwatch.
Yeah, kind of ish.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
Same
that
color
was really
pattern.
why she sold out of them, is because she was like, "Ooh, I could sell these forever," and then maybe she's got a lawyer that was like, "Hey, you don't have the rights to use any of these logos."
Well, I don't think it was directly
And
from Overwatch. I think it just kind of had a similar color scheme
Aesthetic,
and
No,
pattern.
it's like a fucking
If you-
picture of Diva from Overwatch on the front on like this bottle.
Really?
Is it?
Yeah, I
I always saw the top lid label
Yeah, I
where
only
it just says gamer bathwater. But
No, yeah, it's a
if she's
picture
got
of
like a
Diva.
side label.
It's not like fan art Diva or anything. It's just Diva.
Really?
Because apparently it's a character from Overwatch. She cosplays a lot.
Yes,
so
I
I
have
yeah,
seen
like
like
to know her for
I
that.
have
Makes
seen a
sense.
picture of her doing that, but that was just one of the articles because it's like she's holding a bottle and she's got like a Diva, some kind of looks like a swimsuit. I don't know. Something that I better followers.
Something tight, I'm sure.
Yeah. And
yeah,
she
so you-
looks diva-ish.
If you want me to go over and do a double take on that headline, she's selling or sold again. She's sold out. I didn't see how many it said she sold. Well, I think actually I did the math. It was what's 15,000 divided by 30, because that was the number I got.
How much was she charging
And I
for
took
it?
off so $30 a pop.
Plus
She's
shipping.
I believe I can't remember if she's
Yeah, because she's English, right?
I think so, because it was 24 euros,
Right.
or 24 pounds or something,
Okay.
which is about 30 US dollars. She was selling them for those. I think the number I came up with was after taking off like 30% for like shipping costs or whatever, that she made about $15,000 in a week selling small jars
sounds-
full of water that she had bathed in.
Allegedly.
I would not be surprised if she really just went ahead and did that. Like,
Yeah.
there's no legend about the water's already there.
True.
She's gonna take a bath at some point. Why not just sit there
Because
and like
bathwater
scoop
gets
it
like
up?
murky, doesn't it?
Yeah,
From
exactly.
It was
That's what I
looking
was
kind of
wondering.
murky in the
No,
jar.
this water is.
It looked
This
clear to
water
me.
is clear
Yeah.
as the day is bright outside. Like
Well, maybe she does a Japanese style bathing thing where they like they wash themselves off before getting in the bath proper.
the disclaimer is bottled while I'm playing in the bath. This really is bathwater. Dot. Disclaimer: this water is not for drinking and should only be used for sentimental purposes. So she is using the Diva logo of like a DVA, I guess, and that's her
Okay.
name logo.
I thought you were saying it was like an actual picture of
I
the
thought
character.
that's
So
what
I
read.
get that's what you're saying, yeah.
Okay.
But there is no like side label. It's just her weird gamer girl bathwater. But it's a good fucking label, not gonna lie. But she is out of stock, so unfortunately you cannot buy that.
Unfortunately, Ethan was like he was jumping through
$30?
hoops,
I know,
following
Get
all
outta
the
here.
links he
Get the
could.
fuck out of here. No.
He saw this girl's pink
Sorry.
wig and was like, "I need to get me some of that bath water." And no matter where he
Also-
went, they were sold out. But
Also, no
before we-
refunds.
Before we go on to that, don't need a refund.
No refunds.
Some people are so happy with it, they were trying to buy more on eBay. I don't know if you saw this part.
What?
There were listings going up to $15,000 a
You're
piece
kidding me.
on eBay, like moments after it had
Oh
sold
my!
out.
I accidentally went to her homepage. Oh goodness. Sorry, that is not what I. There was nothing like explicit, but it was just like
I was like, oh, I
risky-
accidentally went to her homepage.
Ethan's over here like, oh, I tripped and fell and subscribed to her Patreon. I don't know.
they were risky anime cosplay photos, and I was like, ugh.
She's one of those people where, like, if like you subscribe to enough to her Patreon, that you have
You get
like,
some
access-
lewds.
Yeah, exactly.
Some lewd
Some
photos.
premium Snapchat.
Oh, her private Snapchat. That's I've always been so perplexed.
How does that work?
Yeah.
It's just, is it like they just send it to a bunch of people in a list, and it just sends it to everybody at once?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the thing. If you were
Bathwater,
watching
man.
a lot of Belle Delphine, you missed your chance. Or maybe you didn't. Maybe out of the few people listening to this podcast, we got a big Belle Delphine fan out there, send us your empty jar. I just want like some proof that this was a thing. Drink however much of it you want, and then send them.
Yeah, I want to
send the
know,
empties
man,
our
you got
way.
to put it in your vape.
I want to know that they actually got shipped out to people. Like,
Oh, they did because there's already videos
Oh,
on
yeah.
YouTube of people being like, "I drank the bathwater."
No, the vape joke.
No.
The vape
That's-
joke was a reference to a Reddit post where
Oh,
a
man.
guy literally was just like, "All right, guys, I'm about to do it," and then he has like the gamer girl and like right next to his vape juice and like an eyedropper.
wow.
Jesus Christ. Red Dead Redemption 2's PC version is found
Oh, I
mentioned
skipped over
in the
this.
Social Club source code. So Social Club is Rockstar's, it's like their battle.net thing or whatever. It's just a
Yeah.
little shitty app that runs like crap, and
Their hub.
it's what tracks like your in-game achievements on the PC version of Grand
GTA.
Theft Auto 5, GTA 4, Red Dead Redemption 2 presumably in the future. Somebody who did some digging, went through some codes,
Some data mining.
and they found a mention of PC achievements in the same area of the code that is talking about populating PS4 or Xbox achievements on the Social Club.
Nice.
So just another little hint, if we didn't all know that eventually one of the biggest selling games of this year was going to make its way to PC at some point, now you know.
it's like
Now
Pikachu
it's coming.
meme face.
I did read that based on how long it took for GTA 5 to go from release on PS3 and Xbox 360 to PC.
What was that? It took about what, like a year or so or something like that?
I don't know, but somebody counted out the days and basically puts it at the most likely time would be spring 2020 for this to pop up for Red Dead Redemption 2.
That makes sense.
Yeah. That would also kind of line up with, I don't know. See, I'm of two minds of it. I feel like knowing the bullshit that they've pulled in the past, you almost feel like they might wait until these next gen consoles come out, do a quote unquote remaster for those, and then launch the PC version simultaneously. It would be kind of interesting if they were able to do something like that and have like day one Red Dead Redemption 2 on either of those platforms or PC.
Mhm.
But I don't know. Strike while the iron's hot, man. Like Rockstar,
Get it
I feel
out
like
there.
it's not selling quite as well as GTA 5 did, and Red Dead Online is not doing nearly as good as GTA Online does.
Not nearly.
So I don't
Yeah.
know that they need to hold it any longer than they did with GTA 5. I think it makes more sense to go ahead and get this out sooner rather than
Yeah.
later.
Mhm. And people are already asking for it. I mean, people were asking for it from the start.
Yeah, they
anyways.
wanted day one. This was the
Yeah.
one we were hoping, like, oh, they're just going to do a multi-platform release right off the bat. But now this one kind of aggravated me a little bit while I was reading it. So Valve describes widespread index controller defect as by design. So the Index is the recently released VR headset from Valve.
Oh, I saw those going out on Reddit.
Yeah, these are the makers of Steam. It's probably what you know them from these days because they don't really make video games anymore.
Mhm.
But the Half-Life 2 guys, they make Dota, Counter-Strike.
Portal.
Index just recently came out. People are getting their controllers, they're getting in the headsets, and they're playing with them. And they found an interesting little bug that Valve says is not a bug. So what happens is if you've got a button under your thumbstick, just like on a PS4 controller or an Xbox controller, where you can press it on the thumbstick, and that's a button. Has its own function. Lots of games use this. Now on the Index controller, if you're holding the controller upright where the stick goes upwards, like if you were just holding a normal video game controller, you feel the button press, it registers as a button press. Awesome. Now, the
You should
whole
also
thing,
hear a click.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Even if you can't hear a click, you can feel one. Because if you're wearing headsets,
Yeah, that's
maybe
what.
you
Yeah, you
wouldn't
should
hear
also
it,
feel a click too. Yeah,
but you'd feel it. Yeah, it's just like, grab your Switch controller,
click. Yep.
you feel the click. Now, if you tilt the controller, because these are movement controllers, which means if you move the controller sideways, like on an X, Y, or Z plane,
Mm-hmm.
it's the same as like moving your hand,
Right.
flipping it upside down or whatever.
If you were examining any sort of object, in your
Exactly.
hand,
Yeah. So this is a function that's very pivotal in a lot of VR titles. If you tilt the controller, many people are claiming that either you can't feel the click or the button is not registering as the input. And I think the big example I saw was in Arizona Sunshine, which is a first-person shooter in VR. That click is basically your sprint. And so obviously in a game when you're running away from zombies all the time, you want to be able to sprint every time you're trying to sprint. And it's just not registering. And it remains unclear how many people are dealing with the actual unregistration bug, or if they just feel like the input is not, like it's not giving the contextual feedback you expect from pressing the button. But Valve is just saying that was by design, that they already knew that was an issue. that it doesn't affect gameplay and blah, blah. But if it does go so far as to affect gameplay, that you can submit an RMA and get it repaired. And all of this is from a response from Valve's support team that's been starting to mass respond to inquiries about this issue. In the inquiry, it says that if you do go through with the RMA repair process, there's still no guarantee that your problem will be solved, and that they're not considering this a reason to take refunds or returns for the index, assuming you're past the point of
how much did the index cost when it came out?
It's a new VR headset. If I had to guess, I want to say $899.
Right.
It's not cheap, but it's not like on the super expensive end.
They basically said when tilted, joystick presses may require more force and will not necessarily create the sound or feel of a click like you would expect it to when it's, turned.
Yeah.
At all.
What about flipping the controllers, making it not click? I don't even understand. And I don't understand. That's one of those things. How does that get through playtesting? Why are people constantly being made into beta testers for this kind of shit? Why can't things just come out? Or hell, tell people, say it. Hey, by the way, a little note in your manual or something that says this is something that might have, or like known issues.
Right.
Yeah, like you get a software bug patch at the bottom of the bug fix list. It says known issues. Hey, this shit still broke. No mention of that. I had to wait until 10,000 people, 15,000 people have this thing, have paid for it, have opened it, taken it out of the box, set it up, and found out that it's intentionally broken.
It's almost like they wouldn't have bought it if they knew about it previously.
Oh, it's almost like shit. Things get pulled back. You know what happened when Samsung found it out that their folding phones were like cracking in reviewers' pockets? They recalled the damn thing.
Yeah.
It's Valve. They own Steam. They are the biggest online marketplace in existence for digital goods, second only to like Amazon right now.
There's another thing. It says only if customers report that the test is showing that the joystick presses aren't being registered when tilted all the way to the edge, then Valve is willing to issue a replacement.
They have like this VR test room thing where you can go into like configure your games and stuff like that. And it's got some sort of diagnostic tool. And if you run that enough times and still show that like it's not even registering the button presses, then they'll do the repair. Otherwise, I think you're just SOL. Like they won't even acknowledge the repair unless you can prove that the button presses aren't functioning. But then even if you do that, they can't guarantee that the new one that you get or the repaired unit
be fixed.
will work either way.
Right.
So that seems like a big fucking issue. And again, like that, they're Valve. Like if that was something they saw, then that's, I don't understand how many, like so many of these companies where it's like, let's fuck up all of our goodwill consistently instead of just not putting it out in this way. You know what I mean? Like fix your issue. If it's such a known issue that it took a day for them to start putting on an automatic reply to these people because they're getting that many customer service inquiries in their chats and their emails and stuff, then someone at some level knew this was going to happen and they were already prepared. They had a statement ready to go. So that just blows my mind.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they don't have enough money to like take more time, to get it working right.
Yeah. And there's two other massive competitors in the PC field right now. You've got the Oculus Rift and the Oculus Quest, and then also the HTC Vive.
Do those,
like there's other
click?
Options. Yeah, they do. They click just fine.
Work.
Yeah,
exactly.
Somehow you can turn them upside down and flip them inside out. The click always happens.
Quick,
it's amazing what they can do.
Write that down. But yeah, I mean, they're reporting this is like a 78% of people are like reporting some degree of difficulty.
Yeah,
tilting it. And
I think it was the subreddit. They threw up a straw poll, and the users were commenting. And usually, I would say that's kind of a small test bench or whatever. Like it's not a huge sampling size. But on the other hand, anyone who's early adopting an index right now is probably talking on like either Steam's community forums or Reddit or something like that. Like these are the people that I've
been waiting for it.
They're your super nerds. Yeah. Like they're us. They're the ones that are ready to get in and they want to talk to people about this thing they have. So if you're getting 70% of people saying in this poll that they're seeing some form of this issue, that's insane.
Yeah, regardless of how you slice that, that's 70-ish% of the people that bought your product that are willing to go on the internet to talk about
that's
the problem.
7,000 people out of 10,000 sales.
That's a lot.
70% anywhere is a lot.
Even if the platform they're doing it on is small.
That is a C grade. Okay. That's way too many people to be seeing this kind of issue. And again, there are games that work on other platforms with other motion controllers
They just don't have this issue.
They're essentially unplayable right now for this subset of people that are having this issue. Valve is another one of those companies where I don't see why people give them so much credit. Like any goodwill they have generated by being the people that made Half-Life is like gone now. I don't understand these evangelists that, shit all over Epic in their game store because Steam already exists or whatever, or just like people that really think that the people that made Half-Life 2 are still just sitting in there somewhere toiling away making Half-Life 3. It's going to come out and be this amazing game.
Yeah.
They're just another fucking faceless company now. Just because Gaben's a face you recognize when he shows up and talks about their shitty failed card game that was the last thing they released that just bombed like crazy.
What was it called?
Artifact.
Artifact.
That people dumped so much cash into that. Now everyone's asking for a real video game. And they're like, okay, well, here's auto chess. And apparently there's all sorts of issues with that. And then now they got a whole Valve VR headset that everyone was so sure, they're going to do something to Half-Life with this. Get Half-Life out of your fucking brains, people. We're over Half-Life.
It's true. You
cannot treat Valve like they're just some messiah in video games anymore. Part of me feels bad I don't feel bad for early adopters because we all know what we're getting into. I'm an early adopter. I bought a PSVR as soon as I fucking could, but all my buttons worked.
Yeah. Sure.
All my buttons worked. Anyway, this is a weird one, and I don't think you guys have had any frame of reference on this article. Yeah. In China, the NVIDIA Shield, which is a cool little streaming box, you can hook it up to your TV. They have like a little controller with it. Has Netflix and Hulu, all your smart apps.
Right.
And it also is set up with GeForce Now where you can stream games from NVIDIA and play them or stream them from your computer. Mm-hmm. So if you have like a sweet gaming machine in your bedroom and you want to play your games in your living room, you can stream them to the Shield. Yeah. All sorts of little cool things you can do with this device. And they also have some games that run natively on it, which means that you download the game and you play it just like you download something on your phone or your computer or whatever. There's no streaming involved. Now in China, this device is very popular, and for some reason, Nintendo has been porting Wii games to it for a few years now. So in China, and only in China, you can buy Super Mario Sunshine, essentially what amounts to a 1080p HD remaster.
What's that you say?
As well as Super Mario Galaxy and Galaxy 2 in 1080p HD and widescreen, because you got to remember these Wii games, they all ran in 4:3 for the most part. Mm-hmm. So they've gone in, they've ported these games to run natively on this thing. Twilight Princess is the other one. They run in 1080p with improved texture filtering and stuff and an actual native widescreen.
Jesus.
And they've said nothing about it, essentially. Like, Nintendo has been so tight-lipped about the fact that they're making these ports and they could feasibly run these on a computer, or they could clearly port these games to the Switch. They're like full-blown fucking they aren't like revamped remasters. It's not like a Shadow of the Colossus remaster or anything like that, but they're running it like 1080p and widescreen. Like, that's basically what most people want for these kind of games, because the art styles are always so good that they look great. The newest one that they just released is Donkey Kong Returns.
60 frames per second?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's just like, what the fuck, Nintendo? Like, the way that they decide to do shit is mind-boggling. I would buy I haven't touched my Switch in 3 months. If I could buy Twilight Princess and Super Mario Galaxy on there right now and play it in 1080p HD, the NVIDIA Shield is the same hardware as the Switch. That's the even more mind-boggling part. The same processor that's in the NVIDIA Shield is what's in your fucking Nintendo Switch. And the Switch version is faster. So, like, we know that this game would run on the Switch. And they only sell it in China.
All we got.
And if they catch you using a VPN and buying this in China, they'll ban your account. Like, I don't understand it at all. I just want to buy your fucking games, Nintendo. And you don't let me. And oh my God, it's so crazy. It's the same thing where it's like, did hundreds of virtual console games that would run just fine on the Switch, but they're trapped on the Wii U. And soon you're not even going to buy them on there anymore, because they're going to shut down the store just like they did with the Wii. Mm-hmm. And then you can never play those. We're in a dark age again where you can never play like fucking Pokemon Snap on anything anymore. Or like just all these games that you were like, oh my God, I would totally spend like $10 to play this game again. They leave so much money on the table all the time. And now we got these fucking HD remasters of these Wii games
that you can only get
and they're just
China.
Holding them hostage.
You know what you can't play? Tropical Freeze with Funky Kong.
Yeah, you can get Tropical Freeze. They ported that one.
for $60.
I bought it.
But yeah, like I
It's
don't
a good
understand.
game. I don't regret buying
Oh,
it.
dude, Funky Kong's cool.
It's a great game.
Yeah.
It was also $60 on the Wii U. They could have ported it for like $40. Even Sony isn't that money grubbing, dude.
Yeah.
They put Ratchet and Clank for $40. That was a brand new fucking game.
Yeah,
It was a
and it
lot.
was great.
There was a bundle with that one. I don't remember if it was a launch title.
It's just, oh my God. Nintendo, I just don't get it. I really don't get it. So next up, we got Epic Games will foot the refund bill for Shenmue 3 and future crowdfunded exclusives. This is by Rebecca Valentine over at GameIndustry.biz. In the last year, a number of games promised for PC release on Steam have moved to the Epic Games Store after an exclusivity deal was penned, including most recently Shenmue 3. But Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney says the company is prepared to help make sure the crowdfunded games like Shenmue can switch to the Epic Games Store post-campaign if it makes sense for them without having to worry about losing any funding to refunds. In a Twitter statement following today's announcement that Shenmue 3 backers would either receive refunds on the game following its storefront switch, Sweeney tweeted that Epic was footing the bill and would in the future for similar situations. Quote, Epic is funding the cost of Kickstarter refunds resulting from Shenmue 3's move to the Epic Game Store so that funds won't reduce YesNet's development funding, end quote, he said. And I hope it's YesNet. It might be WiseNet. It's the studio behind the Shenmue series. When future games go Epic exclusive after offering crowdfunding rewards on other PC stores, we'll either coordinate with colleagues at the other stores to ensure key availability in advance or guarantee refunds at announcement time, end quote. Shenmue 3 is not the first game to swap to Epic Games Store exclusivity on PC between its announcement and its launch, but it is the first crowdfunded game to do so. Initially, backers who requested refunds reported that their requests were denied. Details on refunds for Shenmue 3 will be announced in a later update, though backers can either request a PS4 code instead of an Epic Games Store code or request a Steam code when the exclusivity deal is up 1 year after launch. So to catch you guys up, just in case you didn't know what all was going on with this is part of what I was talking about, where so many people lately are up in arms over Epic Games Store, mostly because a lot of the games that have been coming to the store, the high-profile releases, are timed exclusives. So games that are going to come out on EGS first, and then a year later or so. So far, it's been a year for each of these bigger ones. Mm-hmm. Then they will go to like Steam or GOG,
right, other
storefronts and stuff. Mostly to garner interest for the platform, to start bringing people over there, getting them comfortable with playing games on another launcher. In the PC space, this is a little bit more of like heresy because they hate so dearly things like console exclusives, where it's like, why I play on a PC, I've got a $2,000 gaming rig,
I'm the master race.
I don't want to buy a PlayStation 4 to play Bloodborne.
Why can't I have
Why
that?
isn't Bloodborne on this other platform? I mean, part of me understands, because while I have a gaming PC and consoles, I personally prefer to play on consoles because I do so much work on my computer. And so it's hard for me to make that separation where it's like, oh, I've been sitting at a desk working all day. Now I'm going to sit at the same desk and stare at the same monitor and play a video game. It's for me, it's more comfortable to play on a computer.
Sure.
I mean,
I haven't even like touched my gaming PC. I haven't even played games on my PC in quite a while lately.
Yeah. The reason this in particular was such a big deal is that there have been a few instances, like Metro Exodus was one of the more recent big ones, where it had been announced as a game coming to Steam. Steam even was selling pre-orders for it. And then it was announced, oh, it's actually going to be exclusive to Epic Game Store. And they were offering refunds for the Steam pre-orders. But if you had already bought it on Steam, you would still get it day one. But then now other people can't buy it for a year or something. And so plenty of people were like, as a show of principle or whatever, I'm refunding this and never buying this game. I don't want to support this, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Shenmue 3's is an instance where I'm kind of more on the side of the people that wanted refunds, because they were specifically told they were getting a code for this game on Steam. And then now, because of the exclusivity, the company was basically saying, hey, we'll give you the Steam code, but not till a year later when this deal ends.
Oh, that's shitty.
And also, we're not refunding your backer funds.
Right.
So they gave them the option to split to the PS4 version if they wanted. But if not, then basically you get to play your game a year later, even though you crowdfunded it along with everyone else.
But they did, like, they disclosed this information, were upfront about it though, or how? Like,
no, well, I mean, they were upfront right away, and that once the store exclusivity happened, they were upfront.
Okay,
hey, you get an Epic Store code unless you want to wait a year for the Steam one.
Okay.
But that all the codes going out day one when the game comes out were going to be for Epic Game Store. and some people really don't like that launcher or that store and wanted a refund, and they were being told no, partly I assume because I guess a large amount of the backers maybe were PC players, and so maybe it was just too many refunds to deal with. On the same token, though, the Kickstarter was only, I think, I say only, it's a lot of money. They made about $3 million, but most of this game was funded by Sony.
Yeah.
So there's no universe where if this game made $3 billion on Kickstarter, they were only going to make Shenmue 3 with $3 million.
Sure.
They had funding externally from Sony and now clearly from Epic to get this game done. Mm-hmm. So I can't imagine that it was going to hit your sales too hard, that if they to just do refunds. But this is Tim Sweeney basically coming out and saying, hey, we want to do right by you guys. And if you really don't want the Epic Game Store code, and now we will let you do a refund. And Epic is basically footing that bill. They're saying, hey, this is not going to, whatever money gets refunded from the Kickstarter, we're going to give that money right back to YesNet so that this doesn't hurt them in any negative way.
Right. Yeah.
Because they are a smaller studio. But
so they're just kind of trying to fix the mistake that enough people brought up to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or enough people were enraged about.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yes. They're doing, as far as I'm concerned, this was the right move. They are doing right by that. And they're going out and saying, hey, if this ever happens again in certain situations, if we become the exclusive store, then that process will happen more quickly.
They're trying to fix it
on the back end before they even announce it. They're going to be like, "Hey, go ahead and give refunds if people want it, and then we'll cover the cost."
Now, and you said you think this is the right move, but this was the right move from the beginning, right?
Yes,
not now.
yeah.
Okay,
and I'm not part of the outrage because again, this didn't affect me.
Sure.
And I don't.
Yeah, I don't think any of us.
I think most of these situations are very much vocal minority types where this probably didn't affect most people that backed the game. I would be willing to bet that a lot of people backing this probably wanted this game on PS4 or something anyway. It's a Dreamcast franchise. I'm sure there was a few people that weren't playing it on PC, but we all know console games sell better than PC games right now. That's just how it goes. If you're multi-platform, you're selling best on console. But at the same time, you don't want to ignore your PC base because those are customers. Those are people willing to buy your games. I think a lot of at least from what I'm seeing online, everything involving Epic seems to be getting blown way out of proportion these days. But again, good move on them.
I think it's something. Fortnite has something to do with that too, because the internet's all in this hate train against Fortnite, and Epic owns Fortnite and everything. And
sure. It's just I think it's interesting to look at this though and frame it in the comparison to what we were just talking about with Valve and Steam, though,
right?
Where something happened, it's going to affect somebody's wallet. Epic says, let it hurt us instead of this studio that we're working with, versus Valve, who's like, hey, we knew it was broken when we sold it to you.
Okay.
We can do a repair, but it's not going to do anything. Mm-hmm. And also, we wish you guys hadn't found this for at least a couple more weeks so we could sell a few more units before we got some bad press out there. Like that's the messaging I get from them. Mm-hmm. Whereas it feels like at every turn, every controversy that comes up with Epic, Tim Sweeney's right there to be like, oh, well, we're doing this for the developers. And you hear so much in the discourse with gamers and stuff where it's like, oh, we wish developers and publishers wouldn't have crunch and stuff all the time. And we wish they were getting paid the money that they deserve and rah, 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 rah. And then when someone like Epic comes around, they're like, hey, we want to pay a bunch of money to you guys for a year of exclusivity, maybe help with your game and advertise it a little more and stuff. Because right now it's a clusterfuck on Steam. You know how much garbage gets released on Steam every day?
I don't.
A lot.
You know how many indie games die because
I don't.
Yeah.
They're used to when they got like a full page banner that would pop up. Now it's a banner with like 16 fucking titles all squeezed into one. Mm-hmm. And you don't know what's what. And
it's just cumbersome to look at. And like whenever you see it, you're just like, fuck this.
I used to look at it every once in a while and click for details and all that stuff. Now I just close it as soon as it pops up.
Absolutely. Yeah, me too.
It's a clusterfuck. There's garbage. It's just garbage all over the place. It's so easy to publish on Steam. So,
isn't Epic also they're not taking as much money from the developers as like Steam is?
Yeah. So the biggest thing, and this isn't just a Steam problem, PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo and Steam, it's for the storefronts, it's a 30% cut.
Right.
And they all do it.
It's like a manager's cut.
I mean, it kind of makes sense more so for some platforms than others. Mm-hmm. I think on Xbox, it makes sense because Microsoft provides Azure servers and stuff for multiplayer, and PlayStation provides a little less. but you get it to sell on PlayStation, which is the best
Number
selling
one
console
selling
right now.
console, yeah.
On Nintendo, it's like, okay, well,
Thanks.
all your online stuff is garbage, so I don't know what we're paying you for. Yeah. And then Steam, same thing. They're a big marketplace. It's the place when you so many games now. If you watch a trailer and a game's coming out on PC, it doesn't say PC on the bottom anymore. It says Steam because it's ubiquitous. But yeah, Epic, I think their cut is 15% instead, and so that was a big reason. And I think it's even less if you're a game that uses Unreal Engine 4, which is Epic's in-house engine that they license out to developers. So if you are a game that uses Unreal, I think your cut goes down to 10%. And then if you sell a certain amount of copies, you don't have to pay the licensing fees for Unreal Engine anymore. Because right now, if you're making something that's not for commercial use, or if you're under a certain amount of sales, you don't pay anything to Epic. But then if you're a game like Dragon Ball Fighters, it's obviously going to sell like 5 million copies across platforms in a couple weeks. Those guys, they pay a fee for the use of Unreal Engine.
Is Fighters on Epic or is it a Steam store?
Yep, that's an. Oh no, I meant the engine is Unreal.
Oh,
Engine
okay.
4.
Sorry.
They do that, and then of course there's these exclusivity payouts where it sounds like a dirty thing, but at the same time, like that's a security blanket for any developer, especially some of these smaller indie titles, when you don't know that you're going to be able to sell even like 5,000 copies in your first few months. And those checks coming in are what's making sure that all of your employees get to feed their kids that year. Like a lot of those indie games, they are made on razor thin margins. And if we were making a game, just the three of us, and we were like, oh, we think we can hit 5,000. If we hit 5,000 units in a month, we'll break even. And hopefully we see some money in the next month after that. If instead Epic says, hey, we can just pay you 100,000 now, which maybe is equivalent to selling 30,000 units in a month, then suddenly it's like, oh, well, as the developer, especially these smaller indies that are not working with these big publishers and stuff, that's the difference between like living comfortably for a few months or having to decide, well, we can't patch our game because we got to start working on the next big thing so we can get another project out. Like if you want developers to crunch less, this is one good way to do it. Epic made Fortnite. They're rolling in fucking money right now. Yeah. And they're, instead of Scrooge McDucking it like fucking Steam seems to be doing all the time, they're putting that money back into other developers that they don't own. Like they're a publisher too. Epic publishes their own games, and they're making these payouts to smaller developers and even some bigger ones. I think it's important what they're doing. I think it's a good way to do their money. And if Valve really wanted to buy some exclusivities back from them, I guarantee you Valve's got the fucking money between Dota International and the Steam Marketplace and Counter-Strike. Like they've got two of the biggest esports games in the world underneath their banner, and they also run the biggest digital marketplace for video games. So
yeah, those are really good points. I didn't think about that.
They could be funding games just as much if they really wanted to.
Huh. Interesting.
But instead they want to sell you janky VR controllers. Our final news story for today. Quote, Shigeru Miyamoto says games will still be fun without streaming, by James Batchelor over at gamesindustry.biz. During a Q&A with shareholders at the Platform Holders AGM, veteran designer Shigeru Miyamoto, who if you don't know him by name, he made a character, someone you might have heard of, named Mario.
Never heard of him.
Oh, never heard of that little red plumber?
Nah, never.
No? He's kind of a big deal.
Oh, really? Good to know.
Shigeru Miyamoto discussed his views on streaming, virtual reality, and online play. Quote, I think that cloud gaming will become more widespread in the future, but I have no doubt that there will continue to be games that are fun because they are run locally and not on the cloud. We believe it is important to continue to use these diverse technical environments to make unique entertainment that can only be made by Nintendo. He noted that the growing number of people playing Nintendo games now, even on other devices, is growing, revealing that Super Mario Run has passed 300 million downloads. And it might be 300 million and one soon because Ethan had never heard of that game until today. You gonna play some Super Mario Run? No? Too much Harry Potter going on over there.
I'm not even really playing Harry Potter. There's yet to be a mobile game that has kept my interest.
He also assured that, quote, we have not fallen behind with either VR or network services, end quote, pointing to the release of the Nintendo Labo VR kit earlier this year and assuring that the firm has been experimenting with this tech from the very beginning. Quote, because we don't publicize this until we release a product, it may look like we're falling behind. We see a future where cloud gaming and streaming technologies will develop more and more as a means of delivering games to consumers. and we must keep up with such changes in the environment. That being said, if these changes increase the worldwide gaming population, that will just give us more opportunities with our integrated hardware and software development approach to reach people worldwide with the unique entertainment that Nintendo can provide. Talk of 5G was discussed in this meeting, which I think is actually might even be something we see in a Switch Pro or like a Switch Mini, whatever happens to be the next revision of the hardware that comes along. But all of that is to say that Nintendo gonna Nintendo.
Yeah, well, I mean, I agree with them that local area playing isn't going to go anywhere. I still enjoy, playing with people, having people over playing games and everything like that. I mean, generally, honestly, whenever I have people over to play games, we're generally playing Switch games, whether it be
Party
Smash
games.
Brothers. Yeah, party games for sure. I don't agree with them that their online is good.
No.
It's hot garbage.
I would disagree with that as well. Yeah, I think that was just interesting because Nintendo does take a different pace with a lot of this technology. We already saw it this generation where instead of, in the couple generations prior, where they're not chasing the same horse as
They're
Sony
not
and
worried about
Microsoft.
like graphical intensity or anything like that.
Yeah. His point about them experimenting with technologies and people maybe not knowing about it is pretty poignant because I swear I see, it seems like once every year at least, there's some crazy video from like the 90s of like weird shit that was going on at Nintendo, like them trying out weird VR tech and motion controls and like
you remember the Virtual Boy?
Yeah, exactly. Like they're behind the scenes
bazooka
doing
or
stuff.
whatever it
Oh
was.
yeah, the Super Scope.
Yeah, that was a VR, technically kind of a VR game.
Yeah, so they play around with these things a lot, and I do give them credit to at least waiting until it's something that they feel comfortable working with as far as consumer technologies and stuff. I think their focus on the lower end gaming spectrum can kind of hurt them or kind of help them with some of this stuff. Like I've not read a single good review about the Labo VR.
Oh no, yeah, for sure. I think that I don't know. It just feels tacked on,
Yeah, exactly.
And that's like the robot battle one, right?
It's not just that.
There's
Like,
several different ones.
you can
There's
play
like a
Breath of the
car one,
Wild.
right?
You can
That's
play
right.
Breath of the Wild in VR.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
what? I didn't
It
know about
looks
that.
horrible. And the thing is, too, is that, again, it is super tacked on. Like, you need one of the Joy-Cons in the headset
Mhm.
because it uses that gyroscope
Yes.
to do the head tracking,
Right.
which means you have to play Breath of the Wild with one hand because you also, you have to hold the headset up with your hand and then you only have one controller to play the game with.
Why do you have to hold the headset?
Because there's no strap.
It's a Labo thing. It's like just a cardboard thing you put. And their reason
isn't
for
a
it.
strap?
Nope.
Mm-mm.
Their reason for it is that they want the sessions to be short, probably because of how low resolution it is. Because it's already
Eye straining.
It's a 720p tablet, and then you split resolution between your eyes, so it's like it looks like a really jaggy DVD. From what I understand,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to get a Labo VR kit for you one day.
I'm not spending 4
No,
hours.
I'm not
building
doing
a
that.
Labo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely no way.
Yeah, so I know it doesn't look great, and then there's a couple of things. It's kind of like the rest of Labo. Like it's not necessarily meant to be this like
Your
hardcore
your
gamer
main
experience.
game,
Yeah, it's ooh, I want to let my kid play on the piano for a second, or
Right.
play house, or whatever you're doing with the fucking Labo. I don't know much about it,
fish.
but
Be a giant robot.
yeah. So obviously that means that they're toying with these things. The way he says that we're not falling behind, you can kind of read it either way. Just because you played around with VR in your lab and made a consumer product that no one wants to use does not necessarily mean you're keeping pace.
Yeah, you're not you're not keeping up with like PSVR by any means.
And it's one of those, I think Microsoft is kind of doing it the right way, where they're not ready to dip their toes into VR, so they just haven't. They kind of made all those big announcements when the Xbox One X was first coming that they were going to allow like Windows virtual media reality or whatever their thing.
Their AR thing.
Yeah, because they had the AR thing, and then they had their whole, I can't remember the actual program name, but they have like a mixed reality app on Windows 10 where you can use like some of those, that like Logitech has like $100 VR headset, I think,
Really?
where it doesn't come with controllers or anything, but it's like it's just an entry level VR kit
Right.
that works on that, and it works on like your Surface Pro and that kind of thing. But as far as for the Xbox, they didn't just like, they kind of took a step back and were like, well, these aren't games that we feel like need to be on Xbox quite yet, so they're not. And it's a space they maybe don't feel like they need to compete in, which kind of makes sense because really when you look at the attachment rate for like PlayStation VR for PS4 units, like PS4's at I don't think they've quite crossed 100 million yet, but they're getting very close. They will sometime this year.
100 million like PSVR headsets?
No, 100 million PlayStation 4s.
Oh, okay.
No, the amount of VR headsets I think is something like 10 million to 12 or something, which basically, if you do that easy math, that's about a 10% attachment rate, which is decent for an accessory that launched at $400. Not so decent when you consider there's only 15 million people out there tops that can buy PlayStation VR games. So it's a growing market, but it maybe isn't something where 3 console manufacturers need to be all at one time. So it makes sense in that case for Nintendo to not be like busting it out. At the same time, if this is the level of quality that they want to push for this kind of stuff, again, I take umbrage with the not falling behind part. Like if you can't fall behind in a race you're not in, which I think is why Microsoft's doing the right thing. But then they tried to put out this VR thing just because people are talking about VR right now. It doesn't mean to me that Nintendo's like, oh, well, you just see the crazy shit we got cooking behind the scenes, but we won't talk about it. Like
because it's not ready yet.
Like our fucking HD Wii ports that we're selling in China for some reason. Nintendo, I kind of, if anything, because I know we were talking about like maybe Game Pass showing up on Switch at some point, like through either streaming, like with xCloud or something else. This to me says that they aren't even thinking about that because they just aren't interested in the streaming stuff right now. Like if Shigeru Miyamoto comes out and he's like, streaming ain't all that, then that says to me Xbox is not going to Switch like a lot of people think it might be.
Wasn't there like last year when Odyssey came out, couldn't you in Japan stream it on your Switch?
I don't know. Could you? I don't know that there was any streaming thing for it. You could be right. Something about that sounds like it's not 100% wrong. So like I don't mean to sound like an asshole.
No,
I think I remember something about that.
It seems preposterous. No, I totally get it.
I think I do remember something similar to that.
Was it?
Just type in like Japan Super Mario Odyssey streaming.
No, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Oh, did I say Mario by accident?
I thought. Oh, well, you just said Odyssey. I assumed you were talking about Mario.
It's Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Well, Assassin's Creed Odyssey streamed, but that was Project Cloud.
Yeah, but I swear I remember listening to like a Games Daily once where they were talking about the Google thing. But I think they mentioned that you could stream Odyssey to your Switch, but it was only in Japan. But maybe I could be mistaken from that.
Try that then. Assassin's Creed Odyssey Switch streaming Japan.
Yeah,
I think your wires got a little crossed with that because honestly, that was the whole Project Stream thing, like what we talked about with Stadia last week. But I don't think there was ever like an app or anything that ran on Switch because you can't use a web browser on Switch.
Yeah, exactly.
It certainly wouldn't be Chrome.
Yeah, now that we're talking about it, does seem preposterous.
They might have been talking about whether or not it could be a possibility in the future that was how you would get these bigger budget games onto Switch.
Right, yeah.
But that's why
instead of doing like full-blown ports.
It doesn't sound to me like that's something that they're particularly interested in right now, that they're going to be doing more native experiences built for the platform. What you got for me, Ethan?
Let's see. There was an announcement made for Japanese viewers. The cloud version of Assassin's Creed Odyssey is launching the same day as the other versions of the game worldwide, October 5th. In the West, users will get it on PlayStation. No, that's not. No. What? I mean, there is stuff talking about it. Like Assassin's Creed Odyssey is the second game to stream to Nintendo Switch. So there is stuff about it.
Oh, okay.
But I'm trying to find the right thing. You know what I'm saying?
So I might be right.
That's why I said I was
interesting.
Because there's like stuff from October.
Bringing up stuff Travis didn't even hear about.
There's like stuff from October in 2000.
I think I heard about it. I just forgot about it.
I mean, yeah, there is a person. It looks like IGN was streaming the cloud version of Assassin's Creed Odyssey on their Japanese Nintendo Switch. Via this service, publishers can offer games too complex or graphics intensive to natively run on Switch.
Is it a Nintendo service or is it some other?
I don't see it being a Nintendo service.
Yeah.
I don't see specifically. It just says the cloud version is, and it's via this service. It doesn't say what service it is.
Okay.
I can't find that.
Something I'll have to look into because maybe I got to give a correction next week.
It just says cloud version.
I might be the only correction next week. That'll be fun for you guys.
I'll have to look into that. Yeah.
We'll need that fun clip of whenever we did the movie thing and I corrected you on. It was one of the Captain America movies. I don't remember which one.
Good share.
Yeah, I know, right?
Good share.
Keep that in. That'll be nice and chunky to get through.
Ugh.
I don't feel good about
what? It's It's like Ethan's expired milk.
Oh God, let's not bring that up.
I'm not even going to dignify that with a response.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so before we get into our next
next
thing, I do want to say, yeah, Ethan was brought up that apparently y'all had a discussion about expired milk last, like during the cookout, and I was totally either zoned out or something.
You were not a part of it. I think you were outside.
Okay.
We were in the kitchen.
Oh my God, I have do not disturb on and everything.
Wow, professional as fuck here.
I have do not disturb on. It shouldn't do that.
The fuck kind
I can prove it.
Damn it.
Hold on, look.
Try and run a professional podcast
Third grade
here.
recording
Guys,
studio.
I know. Whoa, don't talk about the studio.
See, it's the circle with the dash through it, and it's
well,
blue because it's
obviously
on.
it didn't work.
Don't you know that alarms trump do not disturb?
That was a phone call.
Oh.
Yeah.
Then fuck your phone.
What the fuck, Google?
Yeah, what the fuck, Google?
You'd think I'm buying Stadia now.
My phone doesn't do that, just saying.
Jesus Christ, that's something to look into. Last week I just put it on vibrate. Today I thought, oh yeah, I have do not disturb. I'm sorry, everybody.
It's okay.
That's all right. I forgive you, buddy.
Ethan, Drew, I'm sorry, but more importantly, I'm sorry to the listener.
The viewers.
Mm-hmm.
That was just horrible.
So
anyway, chunky milk, expired milk.
Yeah, Ethan drinks
not
expired milk.
No, yeah.
Or expired milk.
So Ethan says that you dummies didn't know that milk was pasteurized and that you can't get sick from drinking expired milk, especially not a day after the date
Especially
on the
when
container.
it's not expired.
I still think it's gross.
This isn't the old country. We're not milking cows in pails and then serving it to our kids fresh off the teat. It's pasteurized, ultra pasteurized.
Again.
To the point where it's basically boiled into a cloudy milk cloud and then re-extrapolated into like real liquid milk. Like it gets so hot. You can get 3rd-degree burns touching the tubes this shit goes through.
Uh-huh.
You're not, unless you're, which I wouldn't put it past you because you're nasty. Unless you're drinking milk right out of the fucking jug, slobbering back into it before you put the cap on.
Milk?
And then you like to let it warm up to room temperature on the counter first. Take a sip.
Oh, God.
Leave it out for another 30 minutes. And then you
Milk was
repeat
a
that over
bad
the process of
choice.
a week. Then, yeah, you might get a foodborne illness from your milk. But it's fucking pasteurized. If it stinks or looks gross, I mean, maybe you don't drink it because it might make you gag.
Yeah, you don't
but
think
you're
I
not
know
going to
what
get food poisoning from this
spoiled
thing.
milk tastes like?
You know how much milk this man drinks?
Well, not a lot. But I like milk. Yeah.
I don't even remember the last time I had milk, honestly.
Yet you feel educated enough on the topic
Certified.
to tell one man who drinks 3 gallons a day that his
I'd be
milk
so
being
bulked up.
expired.
I'd be so bulky. Oh, man.
You'd be bulky in all the right places, man. You'd be,
Jeez.
milk is good. You're a growing boy,
My
man.
bones would be so strong.
Yeah, you'd be something fucking. You'd be bony, but in the best way. Anyway, we all saw Spider-Man: Far From Home this week,
Great segue.
and we'll do what we did for Evangelion. I'm going to give you a spoil warning when we get there. First, we're going to do high-level talk after Ethan apologizes to me because I did not spoil it in our Slack conversation.
I refer you to the Twitter argument that is essentially the same thing we argued about.
It wasn't an argument. It was just one picture. You've referred to this.
I told you not to bring this up.
We
promised
this
we'd never
one
talk
tweet
about this again.
There's one tweet of the surprise Pikachu, and he keeps calling it an argument. He didn't argue with anybody. It's just a tweet that says me and then asterisk knows who Mysterio.
Oh, you're not looking at the other comments with people talking to each other where it's
See,
like,
that's the
That's
problem.
your own fault.
You
for
never
doing
go
that.
down. You never
well,
scroll
no,
down on Twitter.
they're arguing with each other, so it's hilarious.
Oh, yeah,
just to
sorry,
yeah, no, it's not me. I'm not like throwing my 2 cents in there.
Oh, yeah,
Hell no.
I thought you were like,
no, fuck that.
When I send you a tweet, I don't want you to read the whole thread. Twitter's a bad place.
No,
There's too
but
much
if I didn't
happening.
read the thread, I wouldn't have scrolled past the Pikachu and then seen the seal that was also hilarious.
The seal wasn't even that funny. I was expecting it to be funnier.
It's just
I didn't
a
even look at it
Pikachu,
when
but
you
a
said it before.
seal.
Yeah, but because it's a seal that like zooms in on
And
its
then he's
face
like,
slowly. But it anyway. Yeah, so Spider-Man: Far From Home that came out on what was it July 2nd?
Yeah.
technically.
Yeah,
July 2nd.
that Tuesday.
So last week we're in the car
That Monday.
heading home after recording episode 5, and Ethan says something about. I think we were both talking about how we wanted to like murder suicide each other, and there was nothing left to live for now the Endgame's over.
right.
And then
You know,
he
just
said,
normal
"Oh, but
talk.
Spider-Man's coming out soon." I was like, "Oh yeah, Spider-Man is coming." I put the gun away. I said, "Let me look up at showtimes for Spider-Man: Far From Home." Little did I know it was coming out July 2nd, the day after we recorded the podcast, but also had midnight showings, which I have not seen happen for a movie in forever because they come out on like Fridays and they do showings at like 7 or 10 o'clock on Thursday.
Yeah.
So I see that there's a 12:10 a.m. showing for Spider-Man Far From Home at my local watering hole that also plays movies. And I was like, we're doing this. I didn't even ask anyone if they wanted to go with me. I didn't care. If I happen to run into someone I know, that's great. Was not about to try to coordinate that shit.
Kicked me out of the car in the middle of the freeway. Just drove straight there.
I hit the red button to
Just
shoot.
like, sorry, Ethan, woo.
His whole seat ejects out the top of the car.
Sorry, the fucking Spider-Man.
Flipped a bitch on I-45 and just drove wrong way down the highway.
Opposite
all the way.
direction. Just fucking
No
drove.
fucks given.
No, for my boy in red and blue, okay, I don't fuck around. I was when I saw that movie was out that night, I'm on my phone. I bought tickets. I got 3D D-Box because I didn't have to convince anyone else to spend way too much money on a movie ticket with me.
Yeah.
You didn't even spend that much.
Technically, it was like $11.99 because I had that movie club thing through Cinemark.
Shit, I went to go see it yesterday. No special effects, and it was $12.
No, well, so I have the I have Cinemark's movie club.
Right.
It's like
So you get a
$8.99 a
discount.
month.
Yeah.
And you get one ticket a month, and then additional tickets are like $8.99 or whatever.
Okay.
And then you don't pay like the online fee, blah, blah, all these little things.
Right.
And so I had one of my tickets for the month, my credit saved up.
Oh, nice.
And so it just took $8.99 off of what would be the upcharge for 3D and D-Box.
Uh-huh.
So it ended up being like $11.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, so I drove home. I think the only reason this all worked out was because I slammed like a Red Bull right before we left here. Like I had a Red Bull way too late at night. So I was already going to be up like way too late anyway. I was like, oh, well, now I get to watch Spider-Man while I'm doing this. So went there, watched it that night, and I had to wait a whole week to talk to you guys about it because y'all are normal people with normal schedules and jobs and stuff. And
well, I wasn't even going to go see it
Sunday.
yesterday until like you texted me and you're like, basically just like, hey, go out, get out of your house and go see Spider-Man.
No, you said you were going to go see it on Sunday. So,
no, yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah,
I did, but then like I woke
you.
up and I started doing laundry and I was like, I don't really want to go anywhere. And then like you texted me and I was just, I knew if I didn't go see it, I was going to hear never-ending shit from you.
Oh yeah, this whole segment would have been me pissed at Drew because the two of us went and saw Spider-Man and now we can't talk about it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Or we would have been like, all right, leave. Because I can't spoil you, so just get out. Come back and I'll text you when you can come home.
Right. I'll go to Anvil for a little bit.
Exactly. So again, we're not going to get into spoilers right away. So how did everybody feel about Spider-Man Far From Home?
It was great.
You liked it?
Yeah.
Not going to spoil it this time?
Yeah, exactly.
Cut out the
huge amount of jokes. Like, Ned did a funny thing.
Oh, yeah. They're really leaning
lots of that.
The comedy side. And that's what I like so much about Homecoming. And I think that's one of the things I enjoyed about this one coming off of Endgame is how much levity there still was.
Yeah, obviously, there were some hard-hitting moments.
A movie like this following Endgame is never going to be like it can't top it on the action side no matter what.
Sure.
Right.
So let's do more smaller character moments, more of those dynamics. Yeah, there were some incredibly funny scenes. I had a lot of fun watching
There's some development with like MJ there, which kind of needs to happen for the
Zendaya was great
for the story. Yeah, she's a great actress.
Mm-hmm.
She plays that role really.
All
well.
the cast is still very good.
Even, fantastic.
Even Flash, like as a small character as he is, the one that's always picking on Peter and always doing the live video.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
that's Flash. That's Flash Thompson.
Okay.
If you guys didn't know, that's supposed to be that.
I will say my favorite moment with him is still the one from the trailers where there's things happening on the news and they're all bumped all together. He's like, "Oh, I love Spider-Man. He'll save the day. Screw this Mysterio guy."
Yeah.
And so it's like, "Why do you like Spider? What's your deal with Spider-Man?" He's like, "What do you mean? What's my? He's awesome. He's just really
cool guy. He's a
great guy.
Makes you want to be a better person."
Yeah. And then Peter walks in. He's like, "Sup, dickbag," or something like that.
Yeah.
We thought you died. We thought you drowned, and then he winks at him and shit. And it's fucking great. Yeah. He like as a little character as he is, he still kind of gets me, and it's fun. And just like Ned, like Ned's this goofy character.
I think like Travis said, his character was just
funny.
Like how they focused on the levity of it. I felt like he was just such a great.
I don't want to get too much into what happens with him. Just as another spoiler warning, since we already had a check mark on that one.
Yeah, I was gonna do it again.
A mistake.
Yeah, wasn't me.
Yeah, it's a very summer vacation kind of thing. You get so much more time away from the school and everything. So it is these characters doing like outside of school things, which is always funny, especially because they're all high school kids and stuff. And there's romances brewing and will they, won't theys, and all sorts of just those silly things you expect from a high school movie, framed in the fact that this is Spider-Man. Like he's a superhero,
but it's also a Spider-Man movie, and you have to remember that Peter has to balance that, and he has to figure out which one he wants to focus more on. Or
it's very Spider-Man 2 in a lot of ways. It's more we know who he is. We know who his Peter Parker is. We know how it's being played. It's just another one of those moments where they do so good with all these characters, and I have very few complaints.
Oh, forgot the teachers. What's
Martin
Starr,
one of them.
Starr, and unfortunately I can't remember the other actor that plays his character's name was
Smooth. Is that his name?
Yeah, I think so.
His character's name is Julius in the movie.
He was the only one that didn't vibe with me quite as well.
I thought their back and forth was kind of funny.
If all of his jokes, he had one that was really funny, but most of them. I would say he was my main criticism.
It's that witchcraft joke because he kind of just kept saying it over.
Yeah,
and over
that one was pretty funny. Yeah. But his whole thing, it just felt like, oh, we couldn't get Hannibal Buress back, so we had to like put someone else into this. I like to just assume that Hannibal Buress is one of those that
was
like
he a cop
gets snapped
in
and then
Homecoming.
He was he wasn't a cop. He was one of the other teachers, wasn't he?
I honestly forgot
he was like the phys ed teacher. Oh yeah, that's right, because that's the whole scene where they're in the gym. He's like, I got to show you all this dumb movie, and then it's Captain America sitting down. He's like, so you're going through puberty or whatever. So yeah,
your body's going through change.
He was the PE coach.
Okay. I forgot that one. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of good twists. I will say, and again, we won't get into that quite yet, but it left me feeling very satisfied with where these movies are going in a post-Endgame world.
I was going to say,
it answered the sillier questions that we all kind of have, like what happens when the snap happens and everyone comes back? Do they age up 5? Because that was one thing we were talking about during or after Endgame was, so all these people just reappear
exactly where they left.
Yeah, but how does that work? Because I remember us talking about
people on planes and stuff.
Because what, 5? How many years? 5 or 7 years?
Yeah.
It's 5. But I remember us coming out of the theater, and I think it was one of your questions where I think I might have even been like, "That's a stupid question. What do you mean?" Where you were like, "What happens to this like school and everything?" Like,
oh yeah, because did they just finish out the school?
Or it was the scene too where the kid passes by Ant-Man when he first comes out of the quantum realm, and you're like, why isn't that fucking kid in school? And I was like,
I was like, yeah, school. I mean, he should still have to go to school. Like, you know,
you were very perplexed by the kid while he was riding on a bicycle.
I want details as to the reasons, But
where are his parents?
Yeah.
Well, we probably knew where his parents were. That's the problem. But yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah,
I liked it.
I think we'll go ahead and get into spoiler territory.
Yeah, spoilers time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just another reminder, in case I haven't said spoilers enough already, we will be getting into them now.
Spoilers!
If you have not seen Spider-Man Far From Home and you get as butthurt about spoilers as I do, now is the time to pause.
Hell, if you haven't seen Endgame.
That's too late. We're past. We already spoiled a little bit of that. They come back.
I guess
everybody comes back.
Sure, yeah.
If you have not seen Spider-Man Far From Home, if you do not want it spoiled, if you're driving on the way to the theater right now while you're listening to this, pause it now, hit play after you come out of the theater. Do not listen to this until you've seen that movie. And that's your pregnant pause. One more time. No, we're getting into spoilers now. So, fucking J. Jonah Jameson is back. That's the first thing I wanted to talk about.
Oh my god,
J.K. I cannot tell you how excited I was in that theater.
Same here.
Seeing that and then remembering I can't tell anyone about it for like a full week.
Oh,
it's good.
Yeah. And it was perfect too because, again, getting into the silly spoiler talk that we had before, Ethan and I were having a chat. I had just seen the movie and he said something about, I hope there's a few good twists or something like that.
I asked you if the twists were clever.
Yeah. And I said, well, one of the twists you've already seen in the trailers, if wink, wink.
Something, yeah.
Nudge, something, which basically the twist amounted that, of course, Mysterio's the bad guy. Anyone who knows of Spider-Man knows that Mysterio is a villain in his rogues gallery.
For like 50 years, he's been a bad guy.
Yeah. Big villain. He's very key to the Spider-Man mythos. Mm-hmm. And obviously, he's not going to be a good guy, and the Elementals are going to be like the real villains in this. Well, obviously, the elementals are just some sort of illusion.
Yeah.
Now, how they were going to pull that off in the movie, of course, you don't know until you see the film. Is it actual magic this time or something? How is he getting away with all this?
Yeah.
I think if I remember from what the animated Spider-Man show, Mysterio, he used like little flying cubes or like not polygon shaped like things that flew around, and they just did projections for him. So they basically kind of did the same thing, just replaced it with different.
Except now they're able to pull from, Tony Stark has technology and people know who he is.
He worked for Tony Stark.
Right.
So.
Yeah, you can't work all of the Avengers into like the Spider-Man animated TV show on Fox Kids or whatever. But yeah, the way they handled Mysterio was super fun. I already got off track from that. J.K. Simmons is J. Jonah Jameson again.
He's back.
I mean, that was kind of
he's your mid-credit scene, which I thought was a great way to shake things up a little bit for the future movies.
Absolutely.
I'm definitely like when Spider-Man 3 coming. I
So,
got our second Spider-Man 3.
I don't know if that necessarily shakes it up too much from like what it should be, because like there are timelines and normal iterations where Spider-Man is seen as good to some, and then like Jonah says, a menace to others.
Yeah,
especially because you have Jonah in everybody's ear constantly being like, "Oh, he's a bad guy."
But
it's exciting.
It shakes it up in the MCU, because as far as for Spider-Man that's been introduced so far has just been, again,
he's still in high school. He's
still in high school, and he's still this friendly local Spider-Man.
He's the furthest from having his life together.
Spider-Man's never really had his credit damaged because we haven't seen Jonah.
He's never really even been in the public eye, other than the small thing.
Yeah, he's only been Spider-Man for. We see that at least the people in the neighborhood clearly know who he is and know of his good deeds, because he has that scene in the beginning
like
where he's
Flash is a huge follower, and
even the whole thing with where he goes to that charity fund thing or fundraiser with Aunt May
for the people displaced.
And he's the big thing is that Spider-Man's our guest tonight, and he's super awkward because he's got stage fright. He's not used to talking to groups of people and stuff. Yeah, but they're all there like asking him questions, and like people see him as like the new Iron Man,
or they want him to be, because I mean he also is wearing an iron suit.
Doesn't help. That's part of it too. But then also I want to say that because he's one that's does things so locally, like we see in Homecoming that he's getting YouTube clips and stuff taken of him. Even makes me think of the Spider-Man PS4 game where he's on Twitter and there's like Twitter followers and stuff. Obviously that's separate from the MCU, but like, so people know him specifically in Queens, like he is the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. But now that this huge catastrophe has happened, everyone's eyeing probably their local heroes and thinking, okay, well, what are you going to do to protect us if anything else happens again? Yeah. And of course, he doesn't have those answers. It's another moment where he's Spider-Man, quote unquote. No one knows that he's
a 16-year-old kid. Yeah.
Until
even
now.
more so than like say in Spider-Man 2, the whole train sequence where it's like, oh, they take the thing off and it's just a 38-year-old kid. But even then, at least he's in college. Like even he's still like he's probably 20 or so or something.
How many more years have we set that like down to a T of what? How many more years does Peter have in
I think this was their senior trip that they go on Far From Home.
No.
It was a science trip,
remember when they go?
I think it was because it was their senior year, because everyone's in the same grade.
I don't know.
Remember when they go on the plane and Flash has the champagne, right?
Yeah.
And so and Zendaya or MJ is just like, ma'am, he was actually blipped 5 years ago, so he's 16. So that would probably put them in the junior to sophomore to junior year.
If he's old enough to drink off the bat, he would act. I mean.
No, he's not old enough to drink because he blipped. If he said 16 specifically, then that would put 10th grade.
Yeah.
So I guess they were freshmen in Homecoming then, maybe. You think they would have played into that more, though, if it was like his first year in high school and stuff?
Exactly.
Maybe they don't want to nail it down too specifically.
Yeah, it could be. I bet there's some dude out there who's already like done the math, and they're like,
just a question. I was just curious if we kind of knew that.
If you looked at the zoomed in yearbook photo that we happen to see in this one frame at minute 47,
it clearly states that Peter was in high school.
So he's in high school. I want to say Cedar. He's got. I can't imagine he's doing high school again next movie.
I would say it would make more sense.
Maybe he's graduated.
Peter's super smart too, so he could be, moved up a grade or something.
I would say it would make sense for them to do like start off as freshman year and just keep doing every year. But I don't know how long the thing is, But if he was 16, he should either be a freshman or a sophomore.
But from
maybe
movies,
a sophomore or junior,
just a pacing version. I don't know that we'd want to spend 4 years in high school.
I was late
in the films
when I graduated.
You know what I mean? Like I think that's too much.
That is a lot. No, that is a lot. I know.
There could be more passage of time in the other MCU movies, and the way it's looking, hopefully Tom Holland's going to start being the one that's like, again, the Iron Man, where he's popping up in more than just his own movies. He's got cameos and other things.
Yeah.
Like we see what's going on and seeing more time pass and everything. So
I think for sure we're going to get that, especially with the mid credit scene of Spider-Man: Far From Home shows released footage of Mysterio revealing Spider-Man's identity to be Peter Parker, and so I think he's going to have to go out of the public eye for a while, and I think he's going to go on and do some secret shit.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to bring up as far as like how many ways that could go. They've clearly shown J. Jonah Jameson to be almost more of an Alex Jones type.
Yeah.
Where he's doing like the truther news and stuff and all that. And so who knows if this is a guy that like in this universe, enough people think that he's probably full of shit. Mm-hmm. There's no way Spider-Man could be this high school kid that we've never heard of. Like he was
more like a tabloid.
He went to
deal.
space. Like he knew Tony Stark, who's Iron. Like how would Tony Stark trust this high school kid with all this tech? Like I could totally see it being something where you've got maybe a small subset of people that are convinced that he's actually Spider-Man, and like maybe that affects his high school life. But I don't think he's going to be like walking down the street and everyone knows him as Spider-Man.
You think people kind of see the Daily Bugle as like a non-reputable?
Yeah.
No, I'm kind of feeling the opposite.
Really? I think you'll have a mix of both. I think like it'll.
I think it's totally going to fuck up his social life, and it's just going to add so much shit to it that I think he's gonna have to be out of the public eye. He's gonna go do some secret shit.
Can't be too out of the public eye. He's got to go to school.
Yeah, he's the neighborhood Spider-Man. I don't know. Yeah. But like what you said.
But when you have your identity revealed like that, you're never going to get any alone time.
But
people know
who revealed the identity.
I think Travis is on to something like that because again, we're in New York. That is not a magazine or newspaper that people that go to for their information. It's the New York Times. Right
now, we don't even know if it's a newspaper. The Daily Bugle could just be a YouTube channel.
It could just be like a BuzzFeed or whatever. Yeah, you're right. So, I think that's a good point.
But also he got
it off as like
he got it on the big screen, in New York City. Don't you think a big screen like that would go through like a major network though? They wouldn't go to a YouTube.
Depends on who's funding him, how much money he's got behind him.
Because the guy that was working for Beck, whatever.
Quentin Beck.
Yeah, he was downloading the videos of Quentin and Spider-Man. I assume he cut it together and then gave it or sold it to Jonah because you see him removing the flash drive after it's downloaded. And who knows what else he took from having access to Edith for that short time.
Yeah.
Sorry to call that out of nowhere, the name right there.
Edith. What was the name for it? Even dead,
I'm the hero.
Yeah.
That's Tony loved his acronyms. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely
I think you're onto something with that.
I'm starting to believe me, like, because I do think it is, because you could, if Alex Jones had enough money behind him or something, I'm sure he could have gotten a video up on Times Square about the lizards under the city.
Yeah, if he really wanted to. If you have video of Spider-Man and this new hero Mysterio, they're going to put it up.
Also, something to consider is that there's been rumors for a while that there's something that might be coming up as far as like the whole Sinister Six thing eventually.
Right.
And we haven't met like Norman Osborn, for instance, in these movies.
We haven't met an Osborn period, have we?
No, There's no Harry or anything. Yeah,
which is odd. But it could lead to him being like a college friend type
exactly.
thing. Which would work.
They could play around with that a lot.
Yeah.
So there could be some financier or something in the background that happened to be able to bankroll J. Jonah to getting anti-Spider-Man stuff.
They could do it very differently because, like as Flash is another example, normally he's this huge athletic bully that beats up on Peter, and this one he's kind of just this slightly like this almost
he's kind of
Aziz Ansari character from Parks and Rec.
Yeah,
why can't I Tom Haverford? Very show off, very peacocky, does the live feeds and stuff. So they're playing with character.
I love that he's like live streaming his whole trip and everything.
Even with MJ,
hey guys, I'm live streaming. Can you keep it down?
Her character is slightly different than the traditional MJ character, but
yeah,
it's still there. And as the source, she's the backbone behind Peter and keeps him grounded and stuff. And just like Flash, like he does pick on him. Just in a weird, different kind of way.
Yeah.
I love that scene at the end when they were getting picked up by their parents. And he was just like, oh, hey, Charles, mom didn't come?
That was so sad.
Wait,
So yeah, when they get, do you want to tell Andrew?
Yeah, so at the end, whenever they're getting dropped off at the airport, and or they're getting picked up by their parents, after they're arriving.
Flash's family doesn't come to pick him. That's right.
It's a butler.
It's a butler.
It's with a sign. He's just like, Mom's not here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
it's
perfect.
really sad. So we understand also why he picks on and is a douche because
he's lonely.
Yeah, and that's also why he
yeah.
gets all the likes because he wants people to like him.
Right.
So how good was the relationship with Ned and Betty?
Oh, it was great.
And that whole joke.
That's what I was
throughout the film.
That's what I wanted to get out at the beginning. But yeah, like that whole joke of just like, yo, Peter, when you're the right age and you just find someone, you'll know.
He wants to go on this trip. He's like, we're gonna be. You can't date
what
MJ
happened
on this
about
trip.
American bachelors in Europe?
That was your
Bachelors in
plan.
Paris.
This is my plan. Yeah, and then the flip on that, real quick, just. Yeah,
I thought it was hilarious. I loved it.
Freaking
and then
fantastic.
the whole movie, they act like they've been a couple for years.
I think the end, babe.
Even like like whenever they first arrive in the in Europe, and they're holding hands and everything, and he just turns around and he goes, "Okay, babe, I'll see you." Just like, how long you guys have been dating for like 3 hours,
babe?
Like,
Yeah, babe, coming.
Or when they get off the plane and they're holding hands, and Peter's just like, "Wait, what?" It's like, "Oh, we're dating now." He's like, "What about the American Bachelors thing?" And then, like you said, Peter, when you become an adult and you reach a certain level of maturity, you realize.
He was like, I was a man when
I was just a boy
when I entered that plane, and that boy met a woman, a strong, independent woman, and that woman turned that boy into a man.
So good. I love Ned's character so much.
And like you said in the beginning, I just love how they flesh out the minor characters. Like Ned really came into his own in this movie.
Yeah,
that's really good.
So
one more person touches that door.
Yeah,
we are going to have another funeral.
So Peter goes on his little trip, and of course, he cannot escape being Spider-Man. One of the first things that fucking happens is these elementals show up, which. So I saw a couple complaints about the CGI and everything in this movie. I thought they were all great.
I thought it looked great, dude.
Yeah,
I thought, especially like the scenes where Mysterio was like really fucking with Spider-Man were great.
Like I feel pretty quick to pick out the really terrible CGI, like the last half of Black Panther.
Oh, like whenever we saw Pacific Rim 2.
Oh yeah, that was a weird one just because the lighting was so wrong and everything. But so Mysterio machinations happen. They do a great job. I think I was really surprised that they pulled off Mysterio so well on screen.
Same here, dude.
Like
that trip
the cunning
scene.
charisma and everything, and just the heel turn for Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah,
that whole scene where like they do the super
reveal,
cheesy reveal. Yeah, where
I was a little
all
mad
these
at
little
that,
characters we've seen from other movies that were associated with Stark Industries.
I thought that was so great.
Okay.
I love his personality switch.
Yeah,
because he appeared
he's
to be like this
directing
noble,
the drones and they're like going through the explode. Like it's like. Actually, could we pull this one back? Bump up the destruction like 100% or something.
Yeah, that's what we're going for.
Yeah,
I think the after the whole like scene with him like talking, like thanking everybody, he rolls into that character better. But that scene, that instant switch where he's like, I can't believe that worked.
I loved that.
I was a little mad at that, but again, after that,
I thought it was so good. It reminded me almost of Nightcrawler because how quickly he can go from being like seemingly normal. And then like totally off the wall.
But like when he's on
when
he's on the scene with the bridge directing and stuff, that's great.
Yeah, that was great.
That was when he really got into it. And
the whole nightmare scene.
Shit, yes.
Terrifying.
Phenomenal.
Gave her anxiety. It freaking
gave me
freaked
anxiety
out.
too.
Oh my God.
And
great.
I cannot wait to rewatch it because it's one of those things where there's so much to keep up with and it in a good way. Like it's supposed to make you feel anxious and like you can't tell what's like up from down and everything.
Yeah, because
Peter can't.
There's shots of him like diving and then he just fucking face plants
like smashes into the floor or something.
Like whenever dead Iron Man rises from the grave.
Oh yeah, zombie Iron Man.
That was definitely that was a.
And then all the Black Widows like come out of his.
Yeah,
that one thing. Did you guys notice they were Black Widows?
Yeah, no, I didn't. That's interesting.
Black Widows.
But one thing I wanted
an adventure.
One thing I wanted to say about like again the Mysterio reveal whenever he comes out as the villain and he's complimenting everyone and he points out that one guy and he's talking about like I don't remember his name but he's just like coming up with that crazy thing about the multi-universes. Anything was
the storytelling.
Yeah, and he's like, it's a perfect kind of crazy bullshit that we need, that anybody would believe now after this happened, And I felt like it was kind of making fun of people, kind of making fun of the fans, like, their theories afterwards, after Endgame and the Spider-Man review and the Spider-Man trailer, where they were like, there's different universes,
Yeah.
And in this movie, they was like, fuck you. No, they're not.
I had a buddy who I was talking to who was just like, oh yeah, so how much of the don't spoil anything, but like how much of the multiverse stuff did they talk about?
They dropped 2 numbers. I had such high hopes in that one moment, and then I was like,
wait, what do you mean 2 numbers?
They dropped the.
I know they say Earth 616.
I mean, that's a pretty that sets a line for things.
Well, so we as in I know, the MCU is Earth 999,999.
We know that, but you get that ray of hope.
Yeah,
he also name drops like his universe, and it's just like,
where do you see that the MCU is 999?
It's been released in you can find it on all the wikis and stuff.
Okay,
they put that at something.
They
I can't
gave
remember
the MCU multiverse or the MCU universe within the whole Marvel canon,
its own
specific Earth number.
Okay.
Yeah. So when he says I'm from, this is Earth 616 or whatever, it's
he's
like,
just
bullshit.
No,
it's not.
Yeah,
you already know it's bullshit.
So he's making it up, but it's an Easter egg.
Yeah, it really is.
But there's a buddy who was like,
I wonder if the other
who asked me about some of that
an Easter egg to like a reference to another
definitely
comic.
Probably, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but go ahead.
No, it's fine. But he asked me something about that, and I was like, oh, well, there's no multiverse. And he goes, oh, but in the trailer, he says I haven't watched the movie yet, but in the trailer, he says Earth 616 and he's from another Earth. And I was like, you haven't seen the movie yet. He's like, oh. Because, everything was handled very well with all that, I thought. Oh, the Peter Tingle. That's what I wanted to say.
I was trying to think about that earlier today, what it was called, and I was like, fucking
the whole
Peter
May
Tingle.
and Happy and the Peter Tingle, just wrap that all into a gift basket.
Yeah.
Another thing taken from Spider-Man 2, the
damn.
Raimi movies. That was the same movie where, because he's fighting Doc Ock and his spider sense isn't working quite the way it's supposed to.
Oh, really?
Because he's distracted.
In the Raimi one, yeah. Well, it's the same way in this one. Yeah, he's dealing with the fallout of Endgame and losing Tony Stark and disappearing for 5 years.
Peter Tingle's not working. I heard it's not working. Oh,
Can we not call it that?
Stop saying Tingle. That's good.
So
great
good
stuff. Yeah, Marissa Tomei.
And that scene, of course, at the very end where he gets it back and he's able to have that badass Mysterio takedown scene.
I'm just gonna say it gets spoilers again because this scene is at the very end. The gunshot. I was sitting there and it went off and I was like, "Whoa, what the fuck just happened?" And I looked and I was like, "Oh fuck, that was good."
And it was so badass too because you noticed that Peter didn't even recognize what had happened because that's how you know his spider sense is like firing at full throttle now because he stops the bullet.
Yeah, because it's a warning
before he even realizes that that's what's happening.
And that's the thing with Spider-Man is it really isn't a Peter Tingle because he's not going to necessarily know what it is. It's just a danger.
Yeah.
You're in fucking danger. And but the way he reacted and his fucking emotion on his face.
He's such a great fucking actor. I can't wait. I love now that he's one of those guys where I love that he's gotten his break now because I can't wait to start seeing him in other movies where they maybe test his dramatic chops a little more and stuff. I'm not saying he hasn't had a career besides this.
No.
I'm not familiar with anything else he's been in.
I don't.
He's got something coming out soon.
He's in that
accent.
DreamWorks animated picture with Chris Pratt.
Which one?
I can't remember what it's called.
I know he's in some new one with Will Smith. They had that trailer before
Millennium Man or something?
Yeah.
Where you fight? Okay. No.
I don't give a fuck about that. But I haven't seen him in too many other things. But also it got me super hyped for Uncharted. I know we just talked about that not long ago. But he's going to be in the Uncharted film. So
that'll be cool.
That'll have some, because that's another series too. It's all about character moments. Like it's Indiana Jones and Lara Croft Tomb Raider wrapped up into this little shell that's really just about like character dynamics and everything. So
it's going to be a lot of back and forth with that. Hopefully they get a good Sully and
and then so the post credit scene. Scene.
Before we get into that, there's just one thing before they go into that at the end. There's a scene at the end where Peter and MJ hug, and Peter has a little blood schmutz on his face, and they hug. And the scene changes cameras a couple of times because obviously they're doing.
Did you catch an editor?
They're doing no. Actually, I found a good one. There was blood on her shoulder on her jacket
After they hugged,
it pans back and it's in a different position. It's slightly folded off to her arm where it gets less visible, but it's still there.
Yeah.
And I liked it that they kept it for each like screenshot change because they go from like Peter's view to like MJ's, and so it was there. The blood was there the whole time because it does get wiped off his mouth, and I was like, oh, good for them.
Yeah.
Good for you guys. I like that kind of shit.
That reminded me
didn't
actually.
notice that at all.
That reminded me of the whole Iron Man suit scene where Peter has to make a new suit on the plane with Happy, and they play the AC/DC song.
Oh, I love Led Zeppelin.
Oh my god,
That was so good.
I swear
that joke
I
was good, but that whole scene, just seeing him do pull a Tony Stark,
and Happy just smiling there, just like
so good.
I
So
swear, I
much
was
payoff. These movies have so much payoff.
Yeah, this is like technically this is the end of
This is the end of Phase 4.
Four, I thought.
I think this is 3.
Nope, he's right. Phase 4 starts in 2020.
Oh, damn, nice.
You got so excited.
Yeah,
You thought,
I did.
You
I
selfish
got my
fuck.
victory
You said,
pump
he's
up,
right.
Yeah, this is the end of this is the end of Phase 4.
I was right. No, you weren't. Piece of shit.
This is the end of phase. Or I'm sorry. This is the end of Phase 1 and the
Phase 3.
excuse me. Sorry, because I'm looking at the word Phase 4. Yeah, this is the end of Phase 3, and Phase 4
starts with
the
a
big
bunch of
and
untitled
starts
projects.
and
This is also the longest gap I think we'll have between
Any Marvel
films
movie so
in
far?
years.
Yeah.
Like we don't even have any names. We have a good idea. If I had to guess, what time of year is San Diego Comic-Con? Did that pass already?
I think it's coming up.
Yeah, it's in July. I think it's at the end. Like it's in July.
Yeah, the only reason I know
cool.
that
So
is because
that's-
I just keep seeing free folk memes about people excited to roast D&D.
Yeah,
pretty sure it's like
panel.
They got to have a
going
Marvel
on
panel
right
where
now.
they're going to announce some stuff. It's not going on
next week. July
okay.
18th to Sunday Sunday the 21st.
Because I know Kevin Feige.
Feige.
I always someday I'll find a video where he says his own name, and I'll never forget
Fig
again.
Newton.
I know he said that they intentionally didn't want to start saying what was coming up until at least after Far From Home came out.
There's a couple of featured names, but they're not like anything concrete.
Yeah, we don't
It's
know
just
where things. We know there's a Black Panther sequel coming. We know
Doctor
there's a Doctor
Strange 2,
Strange. We know
yeah.
there's a Black Widow project
Guardians
that's going on.
3.
Guardians 3,
And then the
There's
only one-
probably going to be another Captain Marvel. Or
The only
something.
other one listed is the Eternals.
that's
But there's
coming up soon,
probably
too.
other stuff and
Yeah.
not named things. So, yeah.
I would be very surprised if they don't at least tell us what the next untitled project is at SDCC. I think I remember reading that they don't ever want to have another one where they blow out all the titles like they did back when they announced like all of Phase 3.
Inhumans was still a thing.
Yeah, because they said that, and that was when they revealed Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2.
Yeah.
And then eventually that got name changed. I think he said while they obviously are always going to be planning that far ahead, they don't think they're going to be like, there's no way they come out of SDCC next week and say, here's the next 9 movies, here's all your title cards and shit like that.
Yeah.
We'll probably hear about the next maybe 2 or 3.
Here's Phase 5.
I can't imagine they
through
only
10.
do 1.
Yeah.
I would be shocked if all they do is say, here's the next movie. They probably want to talk a little bit more before they do that. And I don't even know if anything's filming right now. We would have heard if like Black Widow started shooting or anything.
I just exited out. I honestly didn't. But it didn't mention anything on
yeah, I
currently
mean,
filming.
that's news that we would have.
We don't even know
had
any
already.
like what Black.
I'm sure they're
when Black
keeping
Battle's going to take place or anything.
heavy wraps and heavy like what's the contract that you have to sign
NDAs.
for shit to get out and you get in trouble for it. Yeah, I'm
Non-disclosure
sure they're working real hard on keeping that stuff as quiet as they
Sure,
can.
but stuff leaks all the time.
Yeah, but
I like to keep an eye on the Marvel Studio spoilers subreddit
I like to think that there's a group of
because like 5 weeks ago, the whole Far From Home plot came out,
yeah.
Oh, really?
and it was like it's always one of those things you never know how right it is until it comes out.
Yeah.
But plenty of people that read it were like, "Oh shit, yeah, that was like word for word what happens basically." So these things definitely leak, and even I mean, hell, like technically, I think it was you I spoiled Star Wars Episode 9 for. It was somebody as retaliation. Y'all probably already forgot. I told it to somebody because somebody spoiled. Oh no, I think it was you because it was when
Yeah,
you
I
told
think it was me.
you
It was
spoiled
something-
Red Dead Redemption 2 for me.
Oh,
and so
yeah.
retaliation, I was
What
like,
a thing to
here's
spoil.
all of the shit that I've read about Episode 9. Eat shit, motherfucker. And
Well, because
What a weird
you
thing
said
for
you
to
didn't. You
spoil.
said you didn't like that
And
game.
what
And I thought you were
weird
never
thing
going
for
to
you to
play
care
it.
about.
Yes.
I didn't. I might have said I didn't like it, but I didn't say I was never going to play it again.
Yeah, don't
It
mistake
se- it
that.
seemed
for
It was
that.
a big
Your
spoiler.
kid didn't seem like you were never going to play
he
it.
spoiled? Like the epilogue for you,
I've
or-
said most of this
No,
stuff. Where,
I spoiled
like the
something.
whole ending. Like I won't get
Which
into it.
ending.
I won't get into it. No, it's one of those things. I'm pretty sure at some point, I'm like, I can't. I'm gonna try again when the PC version comes out
Right.
because I always plan on finishing it.
I still need to go back and finish it. I got like maybe not even a third into it.
Yeah, that was my biggest thing where I'm just like, now that the HDR sucks, I can just wait for the PC version and then play it at like 144 hertz at whatever resolution I want to. So I was always planning on going back to it. But yeah, like almost the entire plot of episode 9 is already online. So like you can find all that stuff already too. So these, even Big Bad Disney, even with the mouses involved, these things get out. So if they had started shooting a Black Widow or Doctor Strange 2 or something like that, we would know just because someone would have taken a photo and be like, oh, this Disney's shooting a movie over here.
Yeah.
I see Tom Hiddleston down there. Here's a picture.
Here's
like,
Benedict Cumberbatch in
you can't keep all that shit
in like an outfit. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess they probably aren't working on too much right now. Obviously behind the scenes getting scripts going and stuff.
Let's let them rest.
We have like directors attached to Black Widow and all that.
We know give them a break for like a month.
No.
Who's directing Black Widow?
Don't know.
Oh.
It's no one I recognized.
Okay.
I just know that like those things are out there. Like we know that, well, we know in so much as multiple sources have confirmed it, but Marvel or Disney has not come out and said it. But there's a director attached to it, and there's the writer for the script has been revealed and stuff. At least the version they have now. Yeah, all of this is subject to change considering they haven't started shooting. That post-credit scene.
Oh yeah,
the post.
Yeah, I didn't stay for it, but I read what happened.
Okay, I was gonna see.
Yeah.
And you read what you didn't stay for it either.
I watched.
Oh,
it.
you
What
did?
Are you talking about? I mean,
no, I saw it in the chat.
Paint me a picture.
Me and her sat there, and I made her. Okay, really? That's what you want?
Yes.
So it's literally just. It starts off as Fury and Hill driving in their big black Escalade or whatever that is.
Driving where? Where are they in a city?
They're just in the city road,
Okay.
just kind of like a whatever plain road they're driving on in the city. Yeah, I don't know. Specific.
Big city, small city? Are they in New York?
Yeah, I guess so. We don't really know.
You don't know?
Yeah, we're not.
Are there skyscrapers or is it a suburb?
You're on the floor level.
I said paint me a picture.
Sorry, you're on the ground level of like skyscraper walls and you're driving through and
so they're probably in New York.
It's Fury and Hill and they're just kind of gabbing about they're really like
whatever SHIELD agents talk about.
She's like hounding him for like how he acted and stuff, and then they drop the names of the Skrulls that they are from Captain Marvel, the couple, I believe, at the end, if I'm not mistaken, that's who they are.
Talos is the one that was played by Ben Mendelsohn.
Talos, and I forget his.
I don't remember either.
Yeah,
but the one they go to the ship.
So
rescue,
they mentioned they name drop each other's names, and kind of in like a moany tone, like they're tired of what they're doing.
Yeah,
and they transform into who they actually
are.
are.
So you do see them as they.
Yes, you see them as Fury and Hill, and they transform completely into the Skrulls, and then
their faces. They go back to their voice actors or whatever. Yeah. So like Ben Mendelsohn does that. Awesome.
Yeah, and it's their the back and forth is funny, and then they call Fury, and they're just like, hey, we've been doing this for a little while, and it's starting to get a little hairy. Everybody's asking where the Avengers are, and I don't really know what to tell them
or who they are.
Yeah, he's like, so you need to come back as soon as you can, and when you need to get back here, and then it goes to the other side of the phone, and Fury is sitting on a beach chair, and it's a beach, and he's just talking on the phone, and he just hangs up on him kind of. And then it's a hollow screen, and it goes back to like a spaceship thing. And he gets up, and his pants are rolled up, and he's wearing some kind of funny shirt. I can't remember what it was. And he's just like, he claps, and he's like, all right, everybody back to work. And you see the inside of the Skrull ship, which we assume is off doing some kind of mission to find a home or something, like we left him at the beginning of, or at the end of Captain Marvel. And he kind of walks around, and you just see Skrulls doing busy work, and he's just like, where are my shoes? And then it just goes to black. It's just kind of a confirm that he's not anywhere near Earth, and he probably hasn't been for a while, like you said, and he's just kind of, they're doing their mission.
So my little, because I read what had happened, but I didn't actually stay at the theater to see it, because again, I saw a showing at 10 a.m.
You were tired.
As soon as the main credits rolled after the mid-credit scene, I was like, I'm fucking
It was
ready
just
to get
more
out of here.
laughs. Because, those credits were long.
Well, but that's an important little piece of world building.
It does, yeah.
Because something I had pointed out to Ethan was that there had been a theory for a little while that the
theory we know.
Nick Fury that we've known throughout all these movies, at least before Avengers, maybe the actual Nick Fury, and leading up to Avengers, but in Age of Ultron, that's also the Skrull Nick Fury, because of this one throwaway line in Captain America or Captain Marvel where he says, I'd never eat sandwiches that are cut diagonally or something. It's something where like when Captain Marvel, they're like making a sandwich like in some off scene or whatever. He's like, I never eat a sandwich cut diagonally or something silly like that. And in Age of Ultron, he specifically cuts the sandwich he's making in one of the off scenes diagonally and then eats it. And there's something else about like I can't remember all the small details, but someone for a while has been like, Nick Fury's a Skrull.
Well, there was one, like, there's a big one.
Sure enough, at the end of Far From Home, he's a fucking Skrull.
There's a big one in Far From Home, actually. I don't know if you noticed where Peter says, hey, can we call the other Avengers? And he goes, can you call Captain Marvel?
Yeah, the way he responded.
Fury goes, don't even say her name. And it's because it's Talos. And because of all the shit that they went through with Carol and shit, and how they're, kind of.
They're not on bad terms.
No, they're not.
She
but
saves
like,
them, yeah.
But it's just, that's funny. It's good. It was a good scene.
It makes me think that like somewhere between Captain Marvel and Spider-Man Far From Home that their relationship became strained. Because the way he responds to Captain Marvel like has some sort of stank on it.
I think it's more of just like a frenemy kind of thing.
I think he's just trying to sound like Nick Fury, where he's just trying to be quippy.
Maybe.
Maybe. And like agitated. And
I don't know.
Because Talos himself is not.
Yeah, you're right.
So he's been trying to sound like Nick Fury.
Yeah, there's that point.
Please, you've been to space.
Yeah, there's that point where he's just like,
bitch, please, you've been to space.
Beck is just like saying stuff, and he's like, now that's some bullshit.
I think that might call it. What are we doing after this? What's our plan? I got to pee really bad.
I got to pee too.
Are we doing any Detroit? Just a little bit.
Do you
of
want to play Detroit?
Maybe a couple chapters.
We can play Detroit.
What time?
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
It's 8:14.
We're gonna play Detroit Become Human. You might see some of these recordings at some point. Did we record last week's?
We did.
Yeah, we recorded it.
Yeah.
Because I remember I messaged you on Slack because I was just like, hey, bad news, the recording doesn't have voice, but you were like, oh, it's recorded on someplace
that's
else.
right.
Yeah.
I need to roll through that real quick and see how the voices came out, because we were all talking through like one mic essentially.
Yeah.
So who knows how well that came out. Or did we have two mics
I
set
thought
up?
for the Detroit part we changed it and fixed it.
We might have.
We'll look into it.
I don't know.
Yeah,
That was all a test recording
Yeah.
too. Anyway, you might see some Detroit Become Human gameplay before too long over on our YouTube channel.
Character on that game.
Yeah.
Super fun.
Oh yeah.
That was the Absent Mind Podcast, episode 6. Thank you very much for listening. We're going to go now. We're going to go pee. We're going to go play some games. We're going to get this episode going for you. And hopefully I'm not going to be super lazy and I get some of those specials up, the little mini episodes, because I've been putting that off for a little while.
Even if you don't, we got time.
Did I ever get a picture from you for that?
No, we didn't.
So Ethan's got to take some photos. He's got to get some headshots.
Oh, we already have the perfect photo.
No, we don't.
We can't use that one.
We can't use that one.
That's a Patreon exclusive. We told you that.
Sign up for the highest level of Patreon and you'll get a body pillow of that
$9.
All the lewds are Patreon exclusive. Well, guys, once again, thank you for listening. If you want to, you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at AbsentMindedPod, or check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/absentminded to keep up with all the episodes when we're going live, what we got going on. And then you can also follow me at Ray Charlazard on Twitter or Instagram, and Ethan at Soulsbjorn.
That's Soulsbjorn with a J in there.
Yeah, it's SJOULS.
What? No. It's Soulsbjorn with a BJ in there. I noticed that the other day.
Just don't Google that. Just guess a few times.
Don't search Dark Souls with a BJ in it. No, it's Soulsbjorn like Bjork or Baby Bjorn.
I don't think we need to hold a survey where people can just write out what they think Soulsbjorn sounds like and see how correct people are.
It's like Baby Bjork or Baby Bjorn.
It's easy. And then Andrew's going to be over at Andrew Loves Video Games.
Drew.
Only on Instagram.
Games.
Oh, I finally changed my PSN.
He
by
did.
The way.
It looks good.
Oh, what'd you change it to?
Andrew Loves Games.
Just Andrew Loves Games?
Yeah. I'm
you're
surprised
fucking up the branding. Now no one's people are going to be looking for you. They're going to type video games.
Loves games. I loved it.
Yeah, Andrew Loves Video Games wasn't available. I think it was too long.
Oh, good call. Wait, so you're not Audrey?
Too many characters.
Andrew.
Oh, man. I'm going to miss that name.
End of an era, guys. Thank God it's over.
Well, that does it for us over here. Thank you again for listening. I'm going to thank you all every chance I get, because you guys, the listeners, you're the important ones. You're the reason. Well, I'm doing this for me mostly. I like doing this. I like talking. I like hearing myself talk. But
boy, do you.
The second most important thing to me is you guys. So again, tell your friends, tell your family, share it around, like us, follow us. And until next time,